Hello guys, welcome to Fictional Vortex. So in this video, we will see what if Naruto was the living force incarnate, the balance bringer Naruto x Bastila Shan, Star Wars, Koter. If you enjoy these kinds of stories, don't forget to show us some love by hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel. Your support means the world to us. Now, let's start the story. Chapter 1. Worlds collide. Naruto's lungs burned as he dodged another reality-warping attack. The battlefield, what was left of Konoha's forest, twisted and buckled like someone was folding space itself. You're running out of tricks, Nine-Tails brat. The enemy shinobi's hands flashed through seals Naruto had never seen. My dimensional release will tear you apart. Yeah, heard it before. Naruto shot back, forming his signature cross seal. Shadow Clone Jutsu. Dozens of Narutos popped into existence, surrounding the enemy ninja, a rogue Otsutsuki clan descendant who'd appeared out of nowhere 3 days ago, ranting about cleansing bloodlines and dimensional purification. The guy was seriously bad news, with abilities that could literally fold space. Kakashi and Sakura were down, and Sasuke was barely standing. This fell to Naruto. Multi-directional Rasengan barrage, he shouted as his clones charged, swirling chakra spheres forming in their palms. The Otsutsuki descendant laughed, his pale eyes flaring with power. Perfect. Channel more chakra. Something was wrong. Naruto felt it instantly as his Rasengans made contact. Instead of damaging the enemy, the chakra seemed to feed into some kind of jutsu. The air around them rippled like water. What the, you fool? Your enormous chakra reserves are exactly what I needed to complete the dimensional gateway. The enemy's body began to glow with symbols. But you're coming with me, straight into the void. The Nine-Tails stirred violently inside Naruto. Kit. This is bad. He's creating a dimensional rift. No kidding. Naruto grunted, trying to pull back, but it was too late. Space itself seemed to implode around them. The last thing Naruto saw was Sasuke lunging forward, Sharingan blazing, mouth forming a warning that never reached him. Then everything went black. Bastila Shan deflected another blaster bolt with her double-bladed yellow lightsaber, the weapon spinning in a defensive arc as she protected the Republic soldiers behind her. The Sith ambush had caught their scouting party off guard on this remote outer rim world. Fall back to the shuttle, she ordered, her voice calm despite the chaos. I'll cover you. Her battle meditation was already subtly at work, boosting her allies' morale while sowing doubt among the Sith troops. It wasn't at full strength, that required deeper concentration, but even this passive application gave their side an edge. A red lightsaber slashed toward her from the right. Bastila pivoted, meeting the attack with one blade while the opposite end swept low, forcing the Sith apprentice to jump back. The famous Bastila Shan, the masked Sith warrior sneered. Darth Malak will reward me greatly for your capture. You wouldn't be the first to try, she replied evenly, settling into her Sorisu stance. The firefight intensified around them, but Bastila remained focused on her opponent. The force flowed through her, guiding her movements, warning her of danger. She was so attuned that she immediately sensed when something shifted. The air between them suddenly rippled, as if reality itself was being torn. Both Bastila and the Sith warrior paused, staring at the anomaly forming before them. What Sith sorcery is this? Bastila demanded. The Sith looked equally confused. This is not our doing. The distortion expanded violently, pulsing with energy unlike anything Bastila had ever felt in the Force. It wasn't dark, wasn't light, it was something altogether foreign yet strangely familiar, as if the Force itself was being concentrated into a single point. Then, with a thunderous crack, the anomaly burst open and a figure came hurtling out, crashing into the ground between Bastila and the Sith warrior. The dust cleared to reveal a young man with spiky blonde hair, whisker-like marks on his cheeks, and orange and black clothing unlike any design Bastila recognized. He groaned, pushing himself up on his elbows, blue eyes blinking in confusion. What the hell just happened? The stranger mumbled, then froze as he took in the scene around him, the lightsabers, the soldiers, the blaster fire crisscrossing overhead. Bastila felt something impossible through the force. This boy, whoever he was, radiated power like a sun. Not dark side corruption, not Jedi discipline, but raw, untamed force energy unlike anything she'd ever encountered. The Sith warrior recovered first, swinging his lightsaber toward the newcomer's exposed back. "Look out!" Bastila shouted. What happened next defied explanation. Without turning, the blonde stranger simply vanished, reappearing behind the Sith with incredible speed. A swirling blue energy formed in his palm, not a lightsaber, not any weapon Bastila recognized. "Rasengan," he shouted, driving the sphere of energy into the Sith's back. The warrior went flying, his armor shredding as the spinning energy tore through it. He hit a rocky outcropping 30 meters away and didn't get up. Every combatant in the vicinity paused, staring at the blonde stranger who stood scratching his head awkwardly. Hi." He gave a little wave. "I'm Naruto Uzumaki. Someone wanna tell me where the heck I am?" Naruto had experienced some weird stuff in his life, giant chakra foxes sealed in his gut, moon goddesses trying to mind control the planet, you name it. But this? This took the cake. The people surrounding him were dressed in some kind of space armor, shooting actual light beams from handheld weapons. 2 of them had been fighting with glowing energy swords when he'd crashed their party. And now everyone was staring at him like he'd grown a second head. Which, fair enough. He'd just appeared out of nowhere. "Who are you?" demanded the woman with the yellow double-bladed energy sword. She was pretty, with brown hair pulled back in a practical style and intense eyes. Something about her radiated authority and power. "I told you, I'm Naruto Uzumaki," he repeated, trying to get his bearings. His chakra felt weird, like it was resonating with something in the air around him. "Look, I was fighting this guy with dimension warping abilities back in Konoha, and next thing I know, I'm here. Wherever here is." The woman's eyes narrowed. "You're not with the Sith." "The what now?" A barrage of red energy beams, they looked like some kind of light-based kunai, forced them both to move. Naruto instinctively flipped backward, landing beside the woman with the yellow sword. "Questions later," she said tersely. "My team is pinned down. If you're truly not with them, perhaps you could assist us." Naruto grinned. This part, at least, made sense. Help the good guys beat up the bad guys. That I can do. He formed his cross seal. Shadow clone jutsu. The woman's eyes widened as 20 perfect copies of Naruto poofed into existence around them. "What manner of force technique?" she began. "Attack pattern Uzumaki barrage." Naruto commanded, and his clones charged toward the black-armored soldiers firing red beams. The original Naruto turned to the woman. "They'll keep those guys busy. You got people who need help." She was still staring at his clones in astonishment as they engaged the enemy, moving with ninja speed and agility that clearly surprised the armored troops. "Yes," she finally answered. "Republic soldiers taking cover behind those rocks. We need to reach our shuttle." She pointed to a sleek vessel about 100 meters away. "On it." Naruto focused chakra to his feet and dashed toward the pinned-down soldiers, moving faster than most eyes could follow. He heard the woman shouting behind him but didn't slow down. Reaching the rocks, he found 6 people in uniform, 2 of them injured. They raised their weapons at his sudden appearance. "Whoa! I'm with the lady with the yellow sword thing. Here to help." One of them, an older guy with a commander's insignia, studied him skeptically. "You're with Bastila Shan." "So that was her name." "Yeah, Bastila. She's covering your retreat to the shuttle." As if on cue, blaster fire started hitting the rocks from a new angle. His clones had drawn most of the enemy's attention, creating an opening. "Now's your chance," Naruto urged. "I'll carry the injured ones." The commander hesitated only briefly before nodding. Naruto created 2 more shadow clones to carry the wounded soldiers, and they made their break for it, sprinting toward the shuttle as Bastila provided cover with her spinning lightsaber. Naruto sensed danger and spun around to see 3 armored figures with red energy swords charging toward them. His clones elsewhere were being dispatched one by one. These guys were good. "Keep going," he shouted to the soldiers. "I've got these 3. He skidded to a halt and faced the approaching enemies. The Nine-Tails chakra stirred inside him, but strangely, it felt different, like it was interacting with the energy field he'd been sensing since arrival. "What's happening, Kurama?" he asked internally. The fox's voice came back distorted. "Something's interfering with our chakra connection. This place, the energy here is similar yet different from our world's natural energy. No time to figure it out now." Naruto entered Sage mode, feeling the familiar rush of nature energy, but amplified beyond anything he'd experienced before. It flowed into him so easily, so abundantly, that he nearly lost control. Whoa! He staggered, his body glowing with a mixture of orange chakra and something new, a bluish aura that seemed to wrap around his usual energy. The 3 red sword warriors halted momentarily, and Naruto heard one say, "The Force, it's impossible. No one can channel that much raw force energy." Naruto didn't know what this force was, but if they were scared, he'd use it. He charged forward, moving even faster than before, and engaged all 3 simultaneously. Their energy swords slashed at him, but he weaved between the strikes, his enhanced reflexes making them seem almost slow. One swing came too close, and Naruto instinctively raised his arm to block, expecting pain as the energy blade connected. Instead, the chakra/energy hybrid coating his skin actually repelled the blade, causing it to sputter and spark. "That's new," Naruto muttered, then grinned. He formed a Rasengan in each hand, but they looked different, larger, with streaks of blue energy swirling alongside his usual chakra. Double Rasengan. He slammed them into 2 of the warriors, sending them flying. The third backed away, then raised a hand. Naruto felt a strange pressure around his throat, like someone was choking him without touching him. "What the?" he gasped, clawing at his neck. The warrior approached slowly, red sword extended. "Whatever you are, you'll make an excellent specimen for Darth Malik's experiments." Naruto's vision started to darken. Then, a flash of yellow, and the pressure vanished. Bastila stood between them, her lightsaber having severed the Sith's arm. "The shuttle is ready," she said, finishing the Sith warrior with a precise strike. "We need to leave now." Naruto nodded, massaging his throat. "Thanks for the save." "Consider it repayment for your assistance," she replied, already running toward the shuttle. "Though you have much to explain." Naruto dispelled his remaining shadow clones and followed her, leaping into the strange vessel just as its ramp was closing. The interior was filled with technology he'd never seen, blinking lights, control panels, and view screens showing the outside. The ship shuddered and lifted off the ground, accelerating rapidly. Naruto stumbled before finding his footing, watching through a window as the landscape shrank below them. "We're flying," he murmured in amazement. Bastila approached him, lightsaber still in hand though not activated. The Republic soldiers watched warily from various positions around what appeared to be the main cabin. "Now," she said firmly, "you will tell me exactly who and what you are, and how you came to appear in the middle of our battle." Bastila studied the strange young man as he explained his situation. His story was fantastical, another universe with different energy called chakra, villages of warriors called shinobi, and a battle with some enemy that had torn open space itself. Yet the Force told her he believed every word he was saying, and after what she'd witnessed on the battlefield, she couldn't dismiss his claims outright. "So you're saying you're from a different world entirely?" she asked when he'd finished. "Not just another planet, but a different universe?" Naruto nodded, looking around the shuttle with open curiosity. "Yeah, and this definitely isn't my world. We don't have, whatever these flying things are." Spaceships, provided one of the Republic soldiers. Right. Spaceships. Or those lightsword things. Lightsabers, Bastila corrected. The weapon of the Jedi, and the Sith. Naruto cocked his head. And which one are you? Jedi or Sith? I am a Jedi Knight, she replied. We serve the light side of the Force, protecting the Galactic Republic. The Sith follow the dark side, seeking power through fear and domination. Ah, got it. Good guys versus bad guys. That much is familiar. Naruto scratched his head. So what's this Force thing everyone keeps talking about? Is it like chakra? Bastila considered how to explain. The Force is an energy field created by all living things. It surrounds us, penetrates us, and binds the galaxy together. Jedi can feel and manipulate the Force through years of training and discipline. Sounds a lot like chakra and natural energy combined, Naruto mused. Back home, chakra is the energy that flows through people, and natural energy is in everything else. I can use both. What you demonstrated on the battlefield. Bastila hesitated. I've never sensed anyone with such a raw connection to the Force. It was as if the Force itself was pouring into you, without the usual constraints. Naruto looked thoughtful. When I used Sage Mode, it felt different here. Stronger, easier to access. And Kurama was saying something weird was happening to our connection. Kurama? Naruto tapped his stomach. The nine-tailed fox sealed inside me. He's a being of pure chakra, we share a connection. The Republic commander, who had been listening silently, finally spoke up. Bastila, we should contact the Jedi Council immediately. If what he's saying is true. She nodded. I agree, Commander Onesai. This goes beyond standard protocols. She turned back to Naruto. You've appeared during a precarious time. The Republic is at war with the Sith Empire, led by Darth Malak. Your abilities would make you a target for both sides. Naruto sighed. Story of my life. Always caught in the middle of some big conflict. He straightened up. But if these Sith guys are anything like the ones I just fought, I know which side I'm on. Your assistance was appreciated, Bastila acknowledged, but I must caution you, the Jedi Council will want to evaluate you themselves. Your power is, concerning. Concerning how? Naruto crossed his arms defensively. Such raw power, without the discipline of Jedi training, can be dangerous, both to yourself and others. Bastila watched his reaction carefully. The Force must be respected, not simply wielded as a weapon. Naruto laughed. Lady, I've been dealing with dangerous power since I was a kid. The nine-tails inside me could level mountains if I let him. Trust me, I understand restraint. Before Bastila could respond, the ship shuddered and alarms began blaring. Sith interceptors, shouted the pilot. 3 of them, closing fast. Commander Onesai rushed to the cockpit. Evasive maneuvers. Can we make the jump to hyperspace? Not yet, navigation computer is still calculating coordinates. Bastila moved to a control panel, activating what appeared to be weapon systems. I'll man the turret. Try to keep them off our tail until we can jump. Naruto watched the chaos unfold, feeling the familiar rush of adrenaline before battle. How can I help? You can strap in and hold on, Commander Onesai replied. Space combat isn't something you can. The ship rocked violently as enemy fire struck their shields. Shield integrity at 60% and falling, reported the pilot. Naruto frowned. There has to be something I can do. He closed his eyes, reaching out with his senses. To his surprise, he could feel the enemy ships, not just see them on the view screens, but actually sense their presence through what must be this Force energy. It was like an extension of his Sage Mode sensing abilities, but far more vivid. I can sense them, he told Bastila, who looked at him sharply. 3 pilots, all focused on taking us down. They're coordinating their attack pattern. Bastila's eyes widened. That's impossible. Even experienced Jedi can't sense details at this distance without deep meditation. Another hit rocked the ship. Shields at 40%. Naruto made a decision. I'm going out there. What? Bastila and Onesai exclaimed simultaneously. You can't survive in space. Bastila protested. There's no air, the temperature, I don't need to go into space, Naruto clarified. Just on top of the ship. I need to see them directly. Before anyone could stop him, Naruto focused chakra to his feet and ran up the wall to the ceiling hatch he'd spotted earlier. With a quick twist, he opened it and pulled himself through, using chakra to anchor himself to the ship's exterior. The sensation was bizarre, no air, extreme cold, and the dizzying sight of stars all around him. But his chakra cloak protected him, forming a barrier against the vacuum. The enemy ships were visible now, 3 dart-like vessels firing red energy beams at them. Kurama, you feeling this? Naruto communicated internally. Yes, Kit, the fox replied, his voice clearer now. Whatever this force is, it's compatible with our chakra. In fact, it seems to amplify it. Then let's try something. Naruto formed shadow clones directly on the ship's hull, 20 of them, all anchored with chakra. In each clone's hand, a Rasengan formed, but they were different from usual, larger and swirling with both chakra and this new force energy. Wind style, Rasen Shuriken. Naruto shouted, though no sound traveled in the vacuum of space. His clones launched the spinning energy discs toward the approaching fighters. The attack streaked through space, leaving trails of blue-white energy. Inside the shuttle, Bastila and the others watched the view screens in astonishment. What is he doing? Commander Onesai demanded. Bastila could only shake her head, speechless as she witnessed the impossible, energy attacks moving through the vacuum of space, directly toward the Sith fighters. 2 of the Rasen shurikens connected with their targets. The results were spectacular. The fighters didn't simply explode, they seemed to implode as the swirling energy discs expanded into spheres that consumed them from within. The third fighter veered sharply, evading the attack, but one of Naruto's clones had anticipated this. It had created a standard Rasengan and literally launched itself from the hull, propelling through space directly toward the remaining fighter. Is he? Commander Onesai couldn't even finish the sentence. The clone collided with the fighter, the Rasengan tearing through its wing. The damaged ship spiraled away, no longer a threat. Hyperspace calculations complete, announced the pilot, still staring at the viewscreen in shock. Jump now, ordered Bastila, her voice uncharacteristically unsteady. The stars stretched into lines, and the shuttle lurched forward into hyperspace. Moments later, the ceiling hatch opened, and Naruto dropped back into the cabin, looking winded but otherwise unharmed. That was awesome, he exclaimed, grinning widely. I just fought in space. Every person in the cabin stared at him in stunned silence. Bastila was the first to recover. That was either the bravest or most foolish thing I've ever witnessed, she said, though there was a hint of admiration in her voice. Naruto shrugged. Hey, it worked, didn't it? Those ships aren't following us anymore. You survived in the vacuum of space, Bastila stated, studying him intensely. That's impossible, even for Jedi. My chakra protected me, Naruto explained. Or maybe it was this force thing mixing with my chakra. Either way, I felt stronger out there than I ever have before. Commander Onesai approached cautiously. Whatever you are, you just saved our lives. Thank you. Naruto grinned and gave him a thumbs up. Happy to help. So where are we going now? Dantooine, Bastila replied. There's a Jedi enclave there. The council will want to meet you. Her expression grew serious. What you just demonstrated, it changes things. The Jedi Masters need to see this for themselves. The journey to Dantooine took several hours in hyperspace, giving Naruto time to learn more about this strange new universe. Commander Onesai, Karth, as he introduced himself properly, provided a basic overview of the Republic, the Jedi Order, and their ongoing conflict with the Sith Empire. "So this Darth Malik guy used to be a Jedi?" Naruto asked, trying to keep the details straight. "And he turned against his own master. Darth Revan and Malik both fell to the dark side during the Mandalorian Wars," Karth explained. "They disappeared into unknown space and returned as conquering Sith lords. Bastila led the Jedi strike team that defeated Revan, but Malik seized the opportunity to betray his master and take command of the Sith forces." Naruto glanced at Bastila, who sat meditating quietly in a corner of the cabin. "She defeated this Revan person. She must be pretty strong." "Bastila has a rare gift called battle meditation," Karth said, lowering his voice. "She can influence the outcome of entire battles through the Force, strengthening allies and weakening enemies. She's one of the Republic's most valuable assets in this war." Naruto nodded, understanding the strategic value of such an ability. It reminded him a bit of Shikamaru's tactical genius combined with Ino's mind techniques. "And what about you?" Karth asked. "You mentioned being from another world, but you haven't explained much about yourself." Naruto considered how to summarize his life story. "I'm a shinobi, a ninja, from the Hidden Leaf Village. I'm what's called a Jinchuriki, which means I have a tailed beast sealed inside me. The Nine Tails is the strongest of all tailed beasts, which makes me, well, a target, usually. You seem young to be carrying such a burden." Naruto shrugged. "I've had Kurama sealed in me since the day I was born. We didn't always get along, but now we're partners." He grinned. "Plus, being a Jinchuriki isn't so bad when you're also the son of the fourth Hokage." "Hokage?" "The leader of our village. My dad sacrificed himself to seal the Nine Tails in me when I was a baby." Naruto's expression grew momentarily somber. "Both my parents died that day, protecting me and the village." Kartha's expression softened with understanding. "I lost my wife when the Sith bombed my homeworld, Telos. My son and I survived, but..." He trailed off. Naruto nodded, recognizing the pain of loss. "That's what war does. Takes people away." He brightened. "But that's also why we fight, right? To protect what's left, and to build something better." Karth seemed surprised by the wisdom in Naruto's words. "You sound older than you look." "I've been through a lot," Naruto said simply. "We all have." Their conversation was interrupted as Bastila approached, having concluded her meditation. "We'll be arriving at Dantuan shortly," she informed them. "The council has been notified of our arrival, and of our unusual guest." Naruto stood up. "So what happens when we get there? Am I a prisoner or what?" "Not a prisoner," Bastila assured him. "But the council will want to examine you and hear your story firsthand. Your connection to the Force is unprecedented. And potentially valuable to our cause." "Right, your war with the Sith," Naruto mused. "Listen, I'm happy to help fight bad guys, but my priority has to be finding a way back to my own world. I have people waiting for me, responsibilities." "Understandable," Bastila acknowledged. "Perhaps the Jedi archives contain information that could assist you. The council might grant you access, depending on their assessment." Naruto caught the implication. "So my cooperation gets me their help?" "Fair enough." The shuttle dropped out of hyperspace, revealing a green and blue planet below. As they descended through the atmosphere, Naruto pressed his face against the viewport, taking in the rolling plains and scattered settlements of Dantuan. "It's beautiful," he murmured. "Reminds me a little of the land of grass." Their shuttle landed on a pad adjacent to a sprawling stone compound, the Jedi Enclave, Bastila explained. As the ramp lowered, Naruto sensed numerous presences inside, many of them radiating the same kind of energy that Bastila did, though none as strongly. "Stay close to me," Bastila instructed as they disembarked. The council is waiting in the central chamber. Naruto followed her through arched corridors lined with studying Jedi of various species, many not human, which fascinated him. Some stopped to stare as he passed, clearly sensing something unusual about him. They entered a circular chamber where 4 individuals waited, 3 men and 1 woman, all wearing robes similar to Bastila's but more elaborate. Masters, Bastila greeted them with a respectful bow. May I present Naruto Uzumaki, the individual I described in my transmission. The eldest of the 4, a balding man with severe features, stepped forward. I am Master Vrook Lamar. With me are Masters Zar Leston, Doric, and Vandar Tokair. He gestured to each in turn, the last being a small, green alien with large ears. Naruto bowed slightly, recognizing their authority. Nice to meet you all. Thanks for having me. Master Vandar approached, his large eyes studying Naruto intently. Remarkable. Your presence in the Force is like nothing I have ever felt in my 400 years. Thanks. I think. Naruto replied awkwardly. Padawan Shan has told us of your arrival and your claim to be from another world, Master Zar said. Normally, such a claim would be dismissed, but the evidence she provided is compelling. Padawan. Naruto glanced at Bastila. I thought you were a knight. Bastila is still completing her training, Master Vrook stated coldly. Despite her considerable talents, she has much to learn about Jedi discipline. Bastila's jaw tightened, but she said nothing. Tell us your story, Master Doric encouraged. From the beginning. Naruto recounted his background, the ninja world, the nature of chakra, and the battle that had transported him here. The masters listened without interruption, though their expressions ranged from skepticism, Vrook, to fascination, Vandar. This chakra, you describe, Master Zar said when Naruto finished. It functions similarly to the Force, yet with key differences. Yeah, and they seem to interact in weird ways, Naruto added. When I use them together, it's like they amplify each other. Show us, requested Master Vandar. Naruto nodded and formed a basic Rasengan in his palm. The swirling blue energy was immediately visible, but what surprised the masters was how the force visibly gathered around it, creating a secondary layer of energy. Fascinating, murmured Master Doric. The force responds to this chakra, as if they're complementary energies. Master Vrook was less impressed. Raw power without proper training or discipline is dangerous. The potential for harm is enormous. With respect, Master Vrook, Bastila interjected, Naruto demonstrated both restraint and tactical insight during the confrontation with the Sith. His abilities saved our lives. That may be, Vrook conceded reluctantly, but it does not change the fact that this young man represents an unknown variable in an already precarious situation. Master Vandar raised a small hand. Perhaps instead of viewing his arrival as a complication, we should consider the possibility that the Force has brought him here for a purpose. The chamber fell silent as the masters exchanged meaningful looks. The prophecy? Master Zar asked quietly. What prophecy? Naruto and Bastila asked simultaneously. Master Doric sighed. There is an ancient Jedi text that speaks of a balance bringer, one who would come from beyond the known stars, neither Jedi nor Sith, but a vessel of the Force itself. The prophecy of the Wills mentions a being who would embody both light and dark, yet be consumed by neither, Master Vandar explained. One who would remake the path that has been lost. Naruto groaned. Great, another prophecy about me. I've had enough of those back home. Master Vrook frowned. We cannot simply assume he is this prophesied figure. The text is thousands of years old and has been interpreted countless ways. Nevertheless, Master Vandar said firmly, we cannot ignore the timing of his arrival. With the Sith resurgent and the balance of the Force in turmoil. So what happens now? Naruto asked, cutting through the philosophical debate. I need to find a way back to my world, and you guys have a war to fight. How do we help each other? Master Zar nodded approvingly at Naruto's practical approach. The young man raises a valid point. While we consider the larger implications, we must address immediate concerns. I propose that Padawan Shan continue to work with Naruto, Master Doric suggested. She has already established a rapport with him, and her talents make her uniquely suited to help him understand our ways. Master Vrook scowled. Bastila's mission is too critical to be distracted with babysitting duty. I disagree, Master Vandar countered. Bastila's battle meditation, combined with Naruto's unique abilities, could prove a powerful alliance. Additionally, she can monitor his progress and ensure he does not attract unwanted attention. Bastila bowed. I will accept whatever assignment the council deems appropriate, masters. Naruto looked between them. Don't I get a say in this? You are a guest of the Jedi Order, Master Vrook stated firmly. While we offer you sanctuary, we expect cooperation in return. Naruto, Bastila said quietly, the council's wisdom in these matters is not to be taken lightly. And practically speaking, you need guidance in this world. Naruto considered this. He did need allies, and Bastila had already proven herself trustworthy in battle. Plus, working with the Jedi seemed like his best chance of finding a way home. Alright, he agreed. I'll work with Bastila. But I have two conditions. The masters looked surprised at his boldness. First, I want access to your archives, any information that might help me get home. Second, I'm not becoming a Jedi. I'll learn about the Force, but I do things my own way. Master Vrook bristled. You are hardly in a position to make demands, granted, Master Vandar interrupted, earning shocked looks from his colleagues. Within reason, of course. Certain archives remain restricted, but Bastila can help you access relevant materials. And we have no intention of forcing Jedi training upon you, merely offering guidance on controlling your Force sensitivity. Naruto grinned. Then we have a deal. Very well, Master Vandar concluded. Bastila will show you to quarters where you can rest. Tomorrow, we will begin proper assessments of your abilities. As they were dismissed, Naruto followed Bastila from the chamber, feeling the master's eyes on his back. That went better than expected, he whispered to her. Master Vandar rarely takes such an immediate interest in anyone, Bastila replied thoughtfully. He sees something in you. Let's hope it's something good. Later that evening, after Bastila had shown Naruto to his quarters within the enclave, she sought out Master Vandar in the meditation gardens. The diminutive master sat in peaceful contemplation beneath a flowering tree. You have questions, Padawan, he stated without opening his eyes. Bastila knelt before him. Yes, master. About Naruto, and about my assignment. You wonder if I truly believe he is the one from the prophecy. The timing seems convenient. And there have been false prophets before. Master Vandar opened his eyes, their ancient wisdom focusing on Bastila. I sense no deception in him. His story, fantastic as it may be, rings true in the Force. That does not make him the balance bringer, Bastila pointed out. No, it does not. Vandar agreed. But consider what you witnessed, a being who can channel both chakra and Force energy simultaneously, who exhibits traits of both light and dark yet remains uncorrupted by either. Bastila frowned. He does carry darkness within him, this Ninetales entity. I can sense its malevolence. Yet it does not consume him, Vandar noted. Instead, they coexist, even cooperate. Is that not balance in its purest form? Master Vrook fears his power. Master Vrook fears what he does not understand, Vandar said gently. And in truth, there is wisdom in caution. But there is also wisdom in hope. Bastila hesitated before voicing her deepest concern. If he is the balance bringer, the prophecy speaks of remaking the path. Does that mean the end of the Jedi Order as we know it? Vandar smiled enigmatically. Change is the way of all things, Padawan. Even the most ancient institutions must adapt or fade into history. Perhaps what we fear as an ending may simply be a transformation. Then my assignment is more than just monitoring him. Indeed. You are to guide him, yes, but also to learn from him. Your paths have become intertwined for a reason. Vander's eyes twinkled. The Force works in mysterious ways, Bastila. Sometimes its greatest gifts come in unexpected packages. Bastila bowed her head, accepting the wisdom but still troubled. I will do my duty, Master. Of that, I have no doubt, Vandar replied. But remember, duty without understanding is merely obligation. Seek to understand this young man, not simply direct him. As Bastila left the garden, her thoughts were in turmoil. The Jedi Code had always been her anchor, its teachings a shield against uncertainty. Now she was tasked with mentoring someone who defied those very teachings, who wielded incredible power without the lifetime of discipline she had endured. It wasn't fair. But then, she reminded herself, fairness was not the Jedi way. Acceptance was. She would accept this task and perform it to the best of her ability. And if Naruto Uzumaki truly was the prophesied balance bringer, well, that was for the Force to reveal in time. Naruto couldn't sleep. The room they'd given him was comfortable enough, simple but clean, with a narrow bed and a window overlooking the enclave's central courtyard. But everything felt wrong, the gravity slightly off, the air carrying unfamiliar scents, even the darkness seemed different under alien stars. He sat cross-legged on the floor, trying to meditate as he'd learned during sage training. The natural energy here flowed differently, more abundantly, like an ocean compared to the rivers of chakra in his world. Kurama, you awake? He called internally. The fox stirred within his mindscape. I don't sleep as you do, Kit. I'm always aware. What do you make of all this? The Jedi, the Force, this prophecy they mentioned. Kurama growled thoughtfully. Prophecies are troublesome things, vague enough to fit many interpretations, yet specific enough to cause conflict. As for this Force, it's interesting. How so? It's similar to natural energy, but more conscious, somehow. As if it has its own will. And it reacts to our chakra in ways I've never seen before. Naruto nodded internally. I felt that too. When I used Sage Mode, it was like the Force practically jumped into me. Be careful with that, Kurama warned. Too much power too quickly can be dangerous, even for us. Remember what happened when you first tried to control my chakra? Yeah, I nearly lost control. Naruto waved off the concern. But this feels different. Not corrosive like your chakra used to be. More harmonious. Perhaps, the fox conceded. But this dark side they speak of concerns me. It sounds remarkably similar to the hatred that used to fuel my power. Naruto hadn't considered that angle. You think the dark side might affect you somehow? It's possible. Our connection feels strange here. Sometimes clearer, sometimes distorted. We should be cautious until we understand more. Their internal conversation was interrupted by a soft knock at the door. Naruto opened his eyes and called, "Come in." The door slid open to reveal Bastila, still dressed in her Jedi robes despite the late hour. I sensed you were awake, she explained, stepping inside. Meditation problems? Naruto stood up, stretching. Just trying to get a feel for this place. The energy here is different from home. You were communing with the Nine Tails, she observed. It wasn't a question. Kurama, Naruto corrected. And yeah, we were discussing the Force and how it interacts with our chakra. Bastila's expression betrayed surprise. You speak of this entity as an equal, not a burden or weapon. Because he is an equal, Naruto replied simply. We're partners. Friends, even. The masters would find that concerning. Jedi are taught to control and subdue such influences, not embrace them. Naruto shrugged. No offense, but that sounds like a recipe for resentment. Kurama was angry and violent for generations because people only saw him as a weapon to be controlled. It was only when I treated him with respect that things changed. Bastila seemed to consider this an unorthodox approach. But then, everything about you seems unorthodox. She moved to the window, gazing out at the moonlit courtyard. The council has tasked me with helping you understand our ways. And keeping an eye on me, Naruto added with a knowing smile. She didn't deny it. Yes. Your power makes many uncomfortable, including Master Vrook. Story of my life, Naruto sighed. Back home, people feared me for years because of what I contained. Took a long time to change their minds. And how did you manage that? Bastila asked, genuine curiosity in her voice. By showing them who I really was. By protecting them, fighting for them. Actions speak louder than words, you know. Naruto grinned. Eventually, even the biggest skeptics came around. Even this Master Vrook of yours? Bastila asked with a hint of a smile. Naruto laughed. Well, I'm still working on the grumpiest ones. Some people just like being grumpy. Bastila's smile widened fractionally before she composed herself. The council has approved a training regimen for tomorrow. Nothing too intensive, mostly assessments to understand how your abilities interact with the Force. Sounds good. I'm curious myself. Naruto yawned. Though I should probably get some sleep first. Bastila nodded and moved toward the door. Rest well, Naruto Uzumaki. Tomorrow will likely be challenging. Hey, Bastila, Naruto called as she reached the doorway. Thanks for standing up for me in there. With the council, I mean. You didn't have to do that. She paused, looking back at him with an unreadable expression. I merely reported what I observed. Your actions speak for themselves, as you said. After she left, Naruto lay back on the bed, staring at the unfamiliar ceiling. In just one day, he'd been transported to another universe, fought in space, and become part of some ancient prophecy. It was enough to make even his head spin. What do you think of her, Kurama? He asked his companion. The Jedi woman? She's powerful, disciplined, and conflicted, the fox observed. She follows their code rigidly, yet I sense doubt beneath the surface. Yeah, I noticed that too. Like she's fighting something inside herself. Remind you of anyone? Kurama asked with dry humor. Naruto smiled. Maybe that's why I like her already. She gets it, the whole, carrying a burden, thing. Just be careful, Kit. We know nothing about this world's politics or the true nature of this conflict. We could easily become pawns in someone else's game. When have I ever let that happen? Naruto thought with confidence. I can think of several instances. Okay. Point taken. We'll be careful. As sleep finally began to claim him, Naruto's last conscious thought was of home, of Sakura, Sasuke, Kakashi, and all the others who might be worried about him. Somehow, he'd find a way back to them. But first, he needed to understand why he was here. The Force, it seemed, had plans for Naruto Uzumaki. Morning brought clear skies and a new sense of purpose. After a quick breakfast in the Enclave's communal dining hall, where Naruto lamented the lack of ramen, Bastila led him to a large, open training area behind the main structure. Several Jedi were already there, practicing various forms with their lightsabers or meditating quietly. All activity paused as Naruto and Bastila entered, curious eyes following the blonde shinobi. Word travels fast, Naruto observed. The arrival of a dimensional traveler with unprecedented force abilities is difficult to keep quiet, Bastila replied dryly. Ignore them. We have work to do. She led him to an empty section of the training ground, where Master Zar waited with several training devices, floating remotes, practice sabers, and what appeared to be blindfolds. Good morning, Padawan Shan, Naruto Uzumaki, the Twi'lek master greeted them. I trust you rested well. Well enough, Naruto replied with a smile. So what's the plan? Test my awesome ninja skills against your Jedi tricks. Master Zar's lips twitched in what might have been amusement. Something like that. We wish to establish baselines, how your abilities compare to conventional force techniques, and how they interact. The first tests were simple, feats of strength, speed, and agility that Naruto performed easily, even without chakra enhancement. When he did use chakra, he far exceeded what even the most athletic Jedi could accomplish. Impressive, Master Zar noted as Naruto completed a series of flips and spins that left the observing Jedi murmuring in appreciation. Now, let's test your perception. Bastila handed Naruto a blindfold. Put this on. The remotes will fire low-power stun blasts at you. Try to dodge or deflect them using only your senses, not your eyes. Naruto tied the blindfold securely. This is basic training back home. We call it sensory awareness. We shall see, Bastila said, activating 3 remotes with a wave of her hand. The floating devices circled Naruto, then began firing in random patterns. Without hesitation, Naruto dodged the first volley, then drew a kunai from his pouch and deflected the next several shots with precise movements. He's not using the force, Bastila observed with surprise. At least, not conventionally. No, agreed Master Zar. He's using his chakra to enhance his natural senses, hearing the remote's movements, feeling air displacement. Fascinating. Naruto grinned beneath the blindfold. Want to make it harder? In response, Master Zar activated 3 more remotes. The 6 devices coordinated their assault, firing from multiple angles simultaneously. Naruto's movements became a blur as he evaded and deflected the barrage. When one shot grazed his shoulder, he adjusted instantly, creating 2 shadow clones that moved in perfect sync with the original. The observing Jedi gasped at the display. That's enough, Master Zar called, deactivating the remotes. Most impressive, young man. Naruto removed the blindfold, dismissing his clones. That was fun. What's next? Now we test your connection to the Force directly, Master Zar said, gesturing to a collection of stones arranged in a circle. Jedi learn to move objects using the Force, what we call telekinesis. I'd like you to attempt it. Naruto frowned. I don't have any techniques like that. My chakra doesn't work that way. Perhaps not, Bastila interjected. But you've demonstrated Force sensitivity. Try approaching it differently. Instead of pushing your chakra outward, try feeling the energy around the stones and influencing it. Naruto nodded and concentrated on the stones. He tried to sense them as he would in Sage mode, feeling the natural energy within and around them. Nothing happened. This is harder than it looks, he muttered. Close your eyes, Bastila suggested, stepping closer. Don't think of moving the stones. Think of the Force as an extension of yourself, a connection between you and everything around you. Naruto closed his eyes, focusing on the energy field he'd been sensing since his arrival. It permeated everything, flowing like an invisible current. He reached for that current, not with his chakra, but with his awareness. The stones trembled slightly. Good, encouraged Master Zar. Continue. Naruto deepened his concentration, picturing the energy flow connecting him to the stones. Instead of trying to push them with his power, he imagined the flow itself carrying them upward. One stone lifted shakily into the air, then another. Soon, 5 stones hovered at various heights, wobbling but definitely levitating. Remarkable, Master Zar whispered. No formal training, yet. Naruto opened his eyes, breaking his concentration. The stones clattered back to the ground. Whoa, he exclaimed. I did it. That was different from any jutsu I've used before. You have an instinctive grasp of the Force, Bastila observed, unable to hide her surprise. Most initiates require months to achieve what you just did in minutes. Naruto rubbed the back of his head, embarrassed by the praise. It felt natural once I got the hang of it. Like the energy wanted to respond. Master Zar exchanged a significant look with Bastila. Indeed. The force flows strongly in you, Naruto Uzumaki. He gestured to another area. Let us try something more advanced. The next hour passed in a series of increasingly complex force exercises. Naruto struggled with some techniques that required finesse or precise control, but excelled at anything involving raw power or intuitive application. His ability to combine chakra with force energy produced effects that left even Master Zar speechless, particularly when a simple force push enhanced with wind chakra created a concentrated blast that shattered a training dummy. I believe we've established enough baselines for one morning, Master Zar finally said, though his voice betrayed his fascination. Padawan Shan, perhaps you could demonstrate some practical applications now. Combat scenarios, perhaps. Bastila nodded, then turned to Naruto. Are you familiar with sword combat? Naruto shrugged. I've used kunai and shuriken, and I trained a bit with short swords. Nothing like those laser swords you guys use. Lightsabers, she corrected again. And they require special training. For now, we'll use practice sabers. She handed him a metal training sword, its weight and balance different from any weapon he'd used before. Naruto gave it a few experimental swings. The objective is simple, Bastila explained, taking her own practice saber. We'll spar, you using your ninja techniques, me using Jedi combat forms. This will help us understand how our fighting styles can complement each other. Naruto grinned, rolling his shoulders. Sounds fun. Don't hold back on my account. Bastila's expression remained serious. I won't. They squared off in the center of the training area, other Jedi gathering at a respectful distance to observe. Naruto settled into a balanced stance, practice saber held loosely in his right hand. Without warning, Bastila attacked, her movements fluid and precise. Naruto barely parried the first strike, surprised by her speed. The second caught him on the shoulder, eliciting a wince. Point to me, Bastila said calmly. Naruto's eyes narrowed. Okay, now I'm paying attention. The next exchange was more balanced, Naruto adapting quickly to Bastila's style. He incorporated his shinobi footwork, moving unpredictably around her more structured form. When he scored a glancing hit on her arm, he grinned triumphantly. Point to you, she acknowledged, then immediately launched a new assault. There. Sparring intensified, drawing gasps and murmurs from the spectators. Bastila was technically superior with the blade, but Naruto's unconventional movements and quick adaptability kept her on her toes. When he incorporated shadow clones, she countered by using the force to sense which was real, demonstrating her own adaptability. Enough physical combat, she declared after a particularly intense exchange left them both breathing hard. Let's incorporate force techniques. Naruto wiped sweat from his brow. How does that work? In answer, Bastila extended her hand, and Naruto felt himself lifted off the ground by invisible pressure. Before he could react, she flung him backward. He managed to flip in mid-air, landing on his feet with chakra-enhanced stability. Oh, it's like that? He challenged with a grin. Then try this. He formed a familiar hand sign. Shadow Clone Jutsu. 5 clones appeared around him, each channeling chakra visibly. They charged Bastila from different angles, while the real Naruto began forming a Rasengan. Bastila's response was impressive, a sweeping force wave that disrupted 3 clones, followed by precise saber strikes that dispatched the remaining 2. She then focused on Naruto, recognizing the threat of his swirling energy sphere. She raised her hand, creating a force barrier between them. Naruto charged anyway, his Rasengan colliding with the invisible wall. The energies clashed, creating a spectacular display as force and chakra interacted. For a moment, it seemed like stalemate, then Naruto's Rasengan began to absorb the force energy, growing larger and changing color from blue to purple. With a final push, he broke through the barrier, stopping his attack just short of Bastila's startled face. "Point to me," he said softly. Their audience erupted in excited chatter. Even Master Czar looked stunned. "Your technique absorbed my force barrier," Bastila said, eyes wide. "That should be impossible." Naruto let the Rasengan dissipate. The Rasengan is designed to counter other energy attacks by spinning in opposition. "I guess it works on force energy too." Master Czar approached, his expression thoughtful. "What we've witnessed today confirms what the council suspected. Your abilities don't merely coexist with the force, they interact with it on a fundamental level. Is that good or bad?" Naruto asked. "It is unprecedented," the master replied carefully. "And potentially revolutionary. The implications for our understanding of the force are profound." Bastila deactivated her practice saber. "Master Czar, with your permission, I'd like to continue Naruto's training with practical applications. There's only so much we can learn in controlled environments." "What did you have in mind, Padawan?" Naruto's arrival has already drawn Sith attention. Rather than waiting for them to make another attempt, we could use this to our advantage. A controlled mission, perhaps investigating the Sith presence reported in the eastern ruins? Master Czar considered this. It would be valuable to observe his abilities in field conditions, and the ruins are within our territory. He nodded slowly. "I will propose this to the council. For now, continue training here. Focus on coordination between your abilities." As the master departed, Bastila turned to Naruto. "You did well today. Better than expected." Naruto grinned. "Thanks. You're pretty amazing yourself. That lightsaber style is nothing like the sword fighting I've seen before. It's called Form 3, Sorisu, the way of the Minoc. Defensive, efficient, designed to counter blaster attacks and aggressive opponents." A hint of pride crept into her voice. "Though I incorporate elements of Form 6 as well. Well, it's effective. I'd have been in trouble if I couldn't use my shadow clones." Bastila seemed about to say something, then hesitated. "Your clone technique, it's not an illusion, is it? They're physically real." "Yep. Solid shadow clones, complete with their own chakra systems. Anything they learn, I learn when they dispel." He tapped his head. "Great for training or gathering information." "That's remarkable." Bastila's expression grew thoughtful. "I wonder, my battle meditation allows me to influence allies and enemies across great distances. If your clones retain a connection to you." Naruto caught on immediately. "You think you could channel your meditation through me to my clones? Amplifying the effect?" "Precisely." Her eyes lit up with the intellectual challenge. "It's worth exploring, especially if we're to undertake missions together." As they discussed potential applications, Naruto felt a strange sense of familiarity. It reminded him of strategizing with Shikamaru or developing combination techniques with Sasuke. Despite being from entirely different worlds, he and Bastila seemed to connect on a fundamental level when it came to combat synergy. "We should try it," he suggested. "See if it works." Bastila nodded. "Create a few clones and position them at various distances. I'll attempt to establish a meditation link with you, and we'll see if it extends to them." Naruto formed 3 shadow clones, sending them to different areas of the training ground. Then he sat cross-legged across from Bastila, who assumed a meditation posture. "Close your eyes and try to quiet your mind," she instructed. Battle meditation requires focus and clarity. Naruto closed his eyes, attempting to calm his naturally energetic thoughts. It wasn't easy, meditation had never been his strong suit, as Fukasaku had often lamented during his sage training. "Your mind is very active," Bastila observed with a touch of dry humor. "Try focusing on your breathing." Naruto concentrated on each breath, gradually finding a rhythm. As his thoughts settled, he became more aware of the force flowing around them, and of Bastila's presence within it, bright and disciplined. "I can sense you," he murmured. "Good. Now, think of your clones. Feel the connections that bind them to you." Naruto focused on the thin threads of chakra that linked him to each shadow clone, a connection he rarely paid conscious attention to, but always present. As he concentrated, he felt Bastila's consciousness brushing against his own, tentative at first, then more confidently. It was an odd sensation, not invasive like a Yamanaka mind technique, but more like harmony. Her energy aligning with his, reinforcing rather than controlling. Through their connection, Naruto sensed surprise from Bastila, followed by determination. The meditation deepened, their energies intertwining more completely. Suddenly, Naruto could feel not just his clones, but everyone in the training area, each presence distinct in the force. More remarkably, he could sense how Bastila's meditation was subtly influencing them, bolstering confidence, sharpening focus. "This is amazing," he whispered, eyes still closed. "I can feel everyone, through you." "And I can reach your clones," Bastila replied, her voice sounding distant despite her physical proximity. "They're like extensions of the meditation field. Amplifiers." The connection strengthened, and Naruto felt a rush of power unlike anything he'd experienced before. It wasn't chakra, wasn't force energy, but something new, a synthesis of both, created by their combined abilities. "Naruto," Bastila's voice held a note of alarm. "It's becoming too intense. We should," a surge of energy interrupted her, flowing through their connection like a tidal wave. Naruto's eyes snapped open to see a visible aura surrounding them both, his orange chakra and a blue force energy swirling together in a brilliant display. Across the training ground, his shadow clones were similarly illuminated, the energy connecting them all in a complex web visible to every stunned onlooker. "What's happening?" Naruto asked, feeling the power building. "Too much, too quickly," Bastila gasped, struggling to control the flow. "Break the connection." Naruto tried to pull back, but the energies had taken on a momentum of their own. He could feel Kurama stirring within, responding to the surge. "Kit. This energy is affecting our seal," the fox warned. In desperation, Naruto dispelled his shadow clones, breaking the extended network. The energy backlash knocked both him and Bastila backward, sending them skidding across the training ground. For a moment, everything was still. Then Naruto sat up groggily, shaking his head. "Bastila? You okay?" She was already on her feet, looking shaken but composed. "I'm fine." That was unexpected. "No kidding." Naruto stood, noticing the other Jedi keeping their distance, some with hands near their lightsabers. "I think we freaked them out." "With good reason," she replied quietly. "What we just created, it shouldn't have been possible. Battle meditation isn't meant to manifest physically, and the amplification effect was exponential." Naruto brushed dust from his clothes. "So it worked too well. Far too well." Bastila's expression was troubled. "The council will want to know about this immediately." As they left the training ground, whispers followed them. Naruto caught fragments, unprecedented, dangerous, the prophecy, and sensed the mixture of awe and fear their display had generated. "This could complicate things," Kurama observed. "These Jedi fear power they don't understand." "Yeah," Naruto agreed silently. "Reminds me of how the village elders used to act around me. Be vigilant, Kit. Not everyone here has your best interests at heart." Naruto glanced at Bastila, who walked beside him with a composed expression that didn't quite hide her inner turmoil. He sensed no deception from her, only genuine concern and confusion about what had just occurred. Whatever was happening between their abilities, one thing was certain, it had gotten the attention of the entire Jedi enclave. For better or worse, Naruto Uzumaki was now at the center of their world. The council chamber was tense as Master Zar recounted the day's events, particularly the unexpected energy manifestation during the battle meditation experiment. Naruto stood beside Bastila, feeling uncomfortably like he was back in the Hokage's office after a prank gone wrong. The power surge was visible throughout the enclave, Master Czar concluded. Many of our younger students were quite disturbed by the display. Master Vrook scowled. This is precisely the kind of unpredictable danger I warned about. Raw power without proper constraints. It wasn't dangerous, Naruto protested. Just, more than we expected. You cannot know that, Vrook countered sharply. Untested combinations of abilities could have catastrophic consequences. What if that energy had turned destructive? But it didn't, Naruto pointed out. This time, Vrook emphasized. Master Vandar raised a hand for silence. What matters now is understanding what occurred. Padawan Shan, please describe the experience from your perspective. Bastila stepped forward. Masters, when I established the meditation link with Naruto, I intended only to extend my battle meditation through his clone network. What happened instead was a sort of resonance effect. His chakra and my force abilities didn't merely cooperate, they amplified each other exponentially. Could you control this amplification? Master Doric asked. Bastila hesitated. Not entirely. The effect grew stronger than anticipated, and breaking the connection proved difficult. And you, Naruto? Master Vandar turned to him. What did you experience? Naruto considered how to explain. It felt like our energies were learning from each other. My chakra was adapting to use the force, and the force was flowing through my chakra network. The shadow clones acted like connection points, strengthening the effect. Master Czar stroked his chin thoughtfully. A feedback loop of sorts. Fascinating. Dangerously so, Master Vrook insisted. If such an energy surge occurred in combat or near sensitive infrastructure. Master Vandar silenced the debate with a gesture. What's done is done. The question now is how to proceed. He turned to Bastila. You proposed a mission to the eastern ruins. Given today's developments, do you still believe this is wise? Bastila straightened. Yes, Master. What we witnessed today only reinforces the potential value of our partnership. With proper preparation and caution, I believe Naruto and I can effectively investigate the Sith presence there. The ruins are a controlled environment, Master Czar added. Close enough for intervention if needed, yet practical for field assessment. Master Vrook's disapproval was evident, but Master Vandar nodded slowly. The council will deliberate. Until we decide, continue training, with added safety precautions. He fixed Naruto with a penetrating gaze. No more spontaneous experiments without supervision. Got it, Naruto agreed readily. Safety first. As they were dismissed, Naruto felt mixed emotions from the council members. Curiosity, concern, hope, and suspicion in varying measures. Only Master Vandar's feelings remained inscrutable, the ancient Jedi's mind well shielded even to Naruto's enhanced perception. Outside the chamber, Bastila turned to him with an uncharacteristically apologetic expression. I should have been more cautious. Battle meditation is a powerful technique, and combining it with your abilities without proper preparation was reckless. Naruto waved off her concern. Hey, no harm done, right? Besides, now we know what can happen. Next time we'll be ready. If there is a next time, she pointed out. Master Vrook may convince the council that the risk is too great. Then we'll find other ways to work together, Naruto said confidently. I've never let skeptical old people stop me before. Despite herself, Bastila's lips quirked upward. You speak of Jedi Masters with remarkable irreverence. I respect strength and wisdom, Naruto replied, not just titles. Back home, I called the fifth Hokage Granny Tsunade to her face. She'd punch me through walls sometimes, but she knew I respected her. Master Vrook is unlikely to resort to physical violence, Bastila observed dryly. Though I imagine he'd be tempted in your case. They walked through the Enclave corridors, other Jedi giving them a wide berth after the training ground incident. So what now? Naruto asked. More training? Or do we get some downtime? The council will likely deliberate until tomorrow morning, Bastila replied. In the meantime, I thought you might appreciate access to the archives, as promised. There may be records of interdimensional phenomena or similar cases to your own. Naruto brightened. That'd be great. Though, I'm not much of a reader. Back home, Sakura or Shikamaru would usually handle the research part. Then consider this an opportunity to expand your skills, Bastila said with just a hint of teasing. Knowledge is as important a tool as any jutsu or force technique. The archives were housed in a quiet section of the Enclave, a large, circular room lined with data terminals and holographic displays. Ancient texts and artifacts were preserved in special containers, while more modern information was accessible via computer systems. This is amazing, Naruto murmured, looking around. Our libraries are just scrolls and books. The Jedi have collected knowledge for thousands of years, Bastila explained, leading him to a terminal. This system can search for relevant topics. She activated the computer. What exactly should we look for? Dimensional travel? Force incarnations? People suddenly appearing from nowhere? Naruto suggested. Or maybe something about chakra. Bastila input the search parameters, and the system began compiling results. This may take some time. The archives are extensive. While the computer worked, Naruto wandered around the chamber, examining the various artifacts on display. One in particular caught his attention, a small pyramidal device that seemed to pulse with dark energy. What's this thing? He asked, reaching toward it. Don't touch that. Bastila warned sharply, moving quickly to his side. It's a Sith holocron, a repository of dark side knowledge. They're kept here for study, but are dangerous to the unprepared mind. Naruto pulled his hand back. Sorry. It just called to me somehow. Bastila studied him with concern. That's troubling. Sith holocrons are designed to attract Force users, tempting them with promises of power. Maybe it's responding to Kurama, Naruto suggested. The Ninetales chakra has always had a darker nature. Perhaps. Bastila didn't sound convinced. Regardless, these artifacts are restricted. Please stick to the authorized sections. They returned to the terminal, which had produced a list of potentially relevant entries. Most were theoretical discussions of alternative dimensions or ancient legends of beings who could traverse realms. Nothing that precisely matched Naruto's situation. Here's something interesting, Bastila said, highlighting one entry. A Jedi archaeologist named Loken discovered ancient writings on Ossus that referenced visitors from beyond the veil, beings who could channel both cosmic energy and what he translated as spirit fire. Spirit fire could be chakra, Naruto suggested, leaning over her shoulder to read. What else did he find? The records are incomplete. Much of the Ossus archive was destroyed during the Great Sith War. Bastila scrolled through the limited information. There's a reference to a bridge between worlds and something called the current that flows through all things. That sounds promising. Naruto exclaimed. Does it say where this bridge is or how to find it? Bastila shook her head. Unfortunately not. Loken's expedition was planning to investigate further when the war broke out. He was killed, and the research abandoned. Naruto's excitement dimmed. Back to square one, I guess. Not necessarily, Bastila countered. This confirms that similar phenomena have occurred before. And look here, the writings were found in ruins predating both the Jedi and Sith orders. The very ruins we've been assigned to investigate contain architecture from the same era. You think there might be more information there? It's possible. The eastern ruins on Dantooine have never been fully explored, the dangers have deterred most researchers. Naruto grinned. Well, danger's my middle name. I thought it was Uzumaki, Bastila replied with unexpected humor. Figure of speech, Naruto laughed. But seriously, this gives us another reason to check out those ruins. They continued searching the archives, finding scattered references to interdimensional theory and force anomalies, but nothing conclusive. As evening approached, Bastila suggested they break for dinner. We'll continue tomorrow, she promised. And perhaps by then, the council will have approved our mission to the ruins. They walked together toward the dining hall, discussing the day's discoveries and training insights. Despite the setbacks and uncertainty, Naruto felt optimistic. He was making progress, both in understanding this new world and in finding potential paths home. And if he was honest with himself, he was enjoying Bastila's company more than he'd expected. Beneath her serious Jedi exterior was a sharp mind and dry wit that reminded him of his friends back home. Different, yet somehow familiar. Getting attached already? Kurama teased internally. Just making friends, Naruto replied. Something wrong with that? Not at all, the fox answered. Just remember, our priority is finding a way back. I know, Naruto thought, glancing at Bastila as she walked beside him. But who says I can't do both? The evening meal was a subdued affair, other Jedi still giving them a wide berth after the training incident. Naruto didn't mind, he was used to being the center of attention, usually for all the wrong reasons. What mattered was that he was making progress, one step at a time. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new discoveries. And perhaps, one step closer to understanding why the Force had brought him here. Late that night, in the highest chamber of the Enclave, the Jedi Masters convened in private council. The energy signature was unlike anything in our records, Master Doric reported, displaying readings from the training ground incident. A hybrid of force energy and this the chakra, he describes. The power levels were concerning. As I've said from the beginning, Master Vrook stressed. This young man represents an unknown variable, potentially catastrophic in the current conflict. Yet he shows no signs of dark side corruption, Master Zar noted. Despite his unconventional power and the entity he carries within him. The absence of evidence is not evidence of absence, Vrook countered. The dark side can be subtle, patient. If this Ninetales entity is as malevolent as he claims, it could be influencing him in ways even he doesn't recognize. Master Vandar had remained silent throughout the exchange, eyes closed in contemplation. Now he spoke, his ancient voice carrying despite its softness. The prophecy speaks not of light conquering dark, nor dark consuming light, but of balance restored. Perhaps that is what we witness in this young man, a harmony of energies that our traditions would keep separate. You cannot seriously believe he is the one from the prophecy, Vrook protested. A boy from another dimension, carrying a malevolent entity, with no Jedi training? The very notion is absurd. Is it? Vandar challenged gently. The Force works in ways we cannot always comprehend. His arrival coincides with our darkest hour, the Republic faltering, the Sith ascendant. And his abilities, they defy our conventional understanding. Master Doric nodded thoughtfully. The archive search they conducted today, there are historical precedents. Not identical, but suggestive. Visitors from beyond the known realms, wielding dual energies. Which tells us nothing of their intentions or allegiance, Vrook insisted. I sense no deception in him, Master Zar said. His desire to return home seems genuine, as does his willingness to help while he's here. Then we continue as planned, Vandar concluded. Bastila will accompany him to the eastern ruins tomorrow. If there are answers to be found, about his nature, his purpose here, or the means of his return, that is where they will begin. And if his power proves dangerous? Vrook pressed. If the combination of his abilities and Bastila's creates another surge? They are forewarned now, Master Doric reasoned. Preparation and caution will mitigate the risk. Besides, Master Zar added with a slight smile, containing Naruto Uzumaki against his will would likely prove challenging. Better he remains an ally than becomes an adversary through our own suspicion. Master Vrook clearly disagreed, but recognized he was outvoted. I maintain my objection for the record. This path courts disaster. Noted, Master Vandar acknowledged. Yet sometimes, Master Vrook, the greater danger lies not in taking risks, but in refusing to adapt when the force itself demands change. The ancient master's words hung in the air as their meeting concluded, a gentle rebuke that carried centuries of wisdom behind it. Whether that wisdom would prove sufficient for the challenges ahead remained to be seen. The Force, as always, would reveal its purpose in its own time. Chapter 2, Awakening. Naruto stretched his arms and yawned as he stepped outside the Jedi Enclave into the cool morning air of Dantuan. The green landscape was dotted with scattered ruins and strange, tall plants that shimmered faintly in the light of a small, blue sun. It was nothing like the forests of Konoha, but it had its own unique beauty. Bastila stood beside him, her yellow double-bladed lightsaber hanging at her side. Her expression was serious, as always, but Naruto could sense a hint of excitement beneath her calm demeanor. He grinned at her. "Morning, Bastila. Ready for our little adventure?" She nodded. "We leave at first light. The eastern ruins are a 2-day journey from here by shuttle. I've arranged for transport." Naruto scratched the back of his head. 2 days. That sounds like a lot of time to sit around. Maybe we could do some training while we wait. Bastila's lips twitched into a small smile. I was thinking the same thing. There's a training area nearby. We can work on integrating your abilities with the Force. Naruto's eyes lit up. Sounds perfect. Lead the way. They made their way to a large, open area behind the enclave where several Jedi were already practicing. Naruto watched in awe as they moved with incredible speed and precision, their lightsabers slicing through the air with ease. Bastila led him to a quieter part of the training ground. We'll start with something simple. Try to focus your chakra and use it to enhance your connection to the Force. Naruto nodded and closed his eyes, taking a deep breath. He could feel the energy around him, the Force Bastila had described. It was different from the chakra he was used to, but there was a familiarity to it. He reached out with his senses, trying to feel the energy flow. Okay, I think I've got it, he said, opening his eyes. Now what? Bastila handed him a practice lightsaber, a dull metal blade that wouldn't cut anything. Let's spar. Use your ninja techniques, and I'll use Jedi combat forms. This will help us understand how our fighting styles can complement each other. Naruto grinned and took the practice lightsaber. Alright, let's do this. Bastila moved into a defensive stance, her eyes focused on him. Naruto mirrored her stance, holding the practice lightsaber loosely in his right hand. He took a deep breath and concentrated, feeling the energy around him. The first exchange was intense. Bastila attacked with a series of precise strikes, and Naruto parried them with his practice lightsaber, his movements quick and agile. He used his shinobi footwork to move unpredictably, keeping Bastila on her toes. You're good, Bastila said, panting slightly. But you're not using the Force. Naruto grinned. Just getting a feel for your style. He launched a counterattack, using a combination of strikes and feints. Bastila blocked his attacks, but Naruto could see the slight hesitation in her movements. He seized the opportunity, using a quick spin to get behind her. Point to me, he said, grinning. Bastila turned, her expression unreadable. Not bad. Let's try again. They continued to spar, Bastila adapting her techniques to counter Naruto's unpredictable movements. Naruto, in turn, tried to incorporate the Force into his attacks, feeling the energy flow through him. Try using your shadow clones, Bastila suggested after a particularly intense exchange. I want to see how they interact with the Force. Naruto nodded and formed a hand seal. Shadow Clone Jutsu. 5 perfect copies of Naruto appeared around him, each holding a practice lightsaber. Bastila's eyes widened as the clones moved in perfect synchronization with Naruto. "This is incredible," she murmured. Naruto grinned. "Told you I had some tricks up my sleeve." Bastila extended her hand, and Naruto felt a subtle shift in the energy around them. "I'm going to try to influence the clones with my battle meditation. See if I can amplify the effect." Naruto focused on his connection to the clones, feeling the thin threads of chakra that bound them to him. As Bastila's energy washed over them, he could sense a change, a strengthening of the connection, a heightened awareness. "Whoa," Naruto said, his eyes widening. "I can feel them more clearly. It's like, they're part of me." Bastila's expression was a mix of awe and concern. "This is unprecedented. The meditation is enhancing the link between you and your clones. It's like the Force is, adapting to your unique abilities." Naruto grinned. "Sounds like a good thing, right?" "It could be," Bastila said cautiously. "But we need to be careful. This kind of power, if uncontrolled, could be dangerous." Naruto nodded. "I get it. We'll take it slow." They continued to train, Bastila guiding Naruto on how to harness the Force alongside his chakra. They experimented with different techniques, Naruto using his shadow clones to test Bastila's battle meditation and she helping him find new ways to channel his energy. As the morning progressed, they moved on to more advanced exercises. Bastila taught Naruto how to use the Force to enhance his speed and strength, while he showed her some of his shinobi techniques, like the Rasengan. "You're really good at this," Naruto said, grinning after successfully using the Force to increase the power of his Rasengan. "I think we're making a great team." Bastila smiled, a rare expression of warmth. "I agree. Your abilities are unique. And your willingness to learn is impressive." Naruto's grin widened. "Thanks. I've always been told I'm a bit of a handful, but I think it's working out." Their training was interrupted by the sound of alarms blaring through the enclave. Bastila's expression hardened as she activated her lightsaber, the yellow blade humming to life. "Sith interceptors," she said grimly. "They're attacking the enclave." Naruto's eyes widened. "We need to defend the enclave." Bastila nodded. "We need to get to the shuttle. It's our only way out of here if things go south." They made their way through the enclave, dodging blasts from the Sith ships above. Naruto used his shadow clones to create diversions, drawing attention away from Bastila and the other Jedi. "This is crazy!" Naruto shouted as he dodged a blast, forming another Rasengan to deflect an incoming attack. Bastila fought alongside him, her lightsaber spinning in a defensive arc. "Stay close to me. We need to reach the shuttle." They fought their way through the Sith forces, Naruto's chakra and Bastila's Force working in tandem. When they reached the shuttle, Naruto helped the other Jedi board, using his shadow clones to hold off the Sith attackers. "Let's go!" Bastila shouted, boarding the shuttle just as the ramp began to close. The shuttle lifted off, escaping the Sith attack and heading towards the safety of the Enclave's shield generators. Naruto and Bastila watched through the viewport as the Sith ships retreated, their attack thwarted. "That was intense," Naruto said, panting. "But we did it." Bastila nodded, her expression serious. "We did. But this won't be the last time we face the Sith. We need to be prepared." Naruto grinned. "Then let's get ready. I've got a feeling this is just the beginning." The next 2 days passed in a blur of training and preparation. Naruto and Bastila worked tirelessly, honing their abilities and learning to work together as a team. They sparred, trained with the Force, and discussed strategies for their upcoming mission to the Eastern Ruins. On the morning of their departure, Naruto stood beside Bastila as they boarded a shuttle bound for the ruins. The shuttle was small and sleek, designed for quick travel across Dantuan's vast plains. "Ready for this?" Naruto asked, grinning. Bastila nodded, her expression determined. As ready as I'll ever be. The shuttle lifted off, carrying them towards the unknown. As they flew over the green landscape, Naruto felt a mix of excitement and anticipation. He was about to embark on a new adventure, one that would test his limits and challenge everything he thought he knew about the Force and his place in this new world. This is going to be one hell of a journey, he thought, looking out at the endless expanse of Dantuan. The eastern ruins of Dantuan were a stark contrast to the vibrant greenery of the planet's surface. The structures were ancient and crumbling, their stone walls weathered by centuries of wind and rain. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and decay, and the sky was overcast, casting a gloomy pall over the ruins. Naruto and Bastila stepped out of their shuttle, their senses on high alert. The ruins were silent, the only sound the distant rustling of wine through the trees. "Stay close," Bastila warned, her lightsaber humming softly. "These ruins are known to be dangerous. There are reports of Sith holocrons and other dark side artifacts hidden here." Naruto nodded, his eyes scanning the area. "I'll keep my guard up. Let's find whatever secrets these ruins hold." They made their way through the ruins, Bastila leading the way with her knowledge of the area. The structures were a maze of narrow passages and hidden chambers, each one more daunting than the last. As they moved deeper into the ruins, Naruto felt a strange sensation, a pull, as if something was calling to him. He stopped, looking around. "Do you feel that?" he asked Bastila. She nodded, her expression serious. "The dark side. It's strong here." They continued, the air growing colder with each step. The ruins seemed to shift around them, the passages changing as if alive. "Stay alert," Bastila said, her voice low. "We're being watched." Naruto's senses tingled as he drew his practice lightsaber. "I know. I can feel it too." They rounded a corner and found themselves in a large, open chamber. The walls were covered in strange symbols, and in the center of the room stood a pedestal, a small, dark object resting on it. Bastila's eyes widened. A Sith holocron. Naruto stepped closer, his curiosity piqued. "What's a holocron?" "It's a repository of Sith knowledge," Bastila explained. "They contain the teachings of Sith lords, their strategies, their dark side philosophies. They're dangerous to anyone who isn't strong in the Force." Naruto approached the pedestal, drawn by the dark energy radiating from the holocron. He could feel it calling to him, promising power, knowledge. "Don't touch it," Bastila warned, moving to his side. "The dark side is strong here. It could corrupt you." Naruto hesitated, his hand hovering over the holocron. "But what if it has information about how to get back to my world? What if it can help us?" Bastila's expression was conflicted. "It might. But the risk is too great. We don't know what it contains, or how it will affect you." Naruto took a deep breath, fighting the temptation. "You're right. We'll find another way." As they turned to leave, the ground beneath them trembled. The symbols on the walls began to glow with a dark, pulsating light, and the air grew thick with dark side energy. "Run!" Bastila shouted, her lightsaber igniting. Naruto didn't need to be told twice. He sprinted towards the exit, Bastila close behind. The holocron's energy surged, creating a barrier of dark force that blocked their path. "We need to get past it," Bastila said, her voice strained. "I'll hold it off. You create a distraction." Naruto nodded and formed a hand seal. Shadow Clone Jutsu. 5 clones appeared around him, each holding a practiced lightsaber. They charged at the holocron, drawing its attention. Bastila used the distraction to channel her battle meditation, her energy flowing through Naruto and his clones. The dark force barrier began to waver, its power diminishing under the combined assault of their abilities. "Now!" Bastila shouted. Naruto and his clones surged forward, breaking through the barrier. They sprinted out of the chamber, the holocron's energy fading behind them. "That was too close," Naruto panted as they emerged into the open ruins. Bastila nodded, her expression serious. We need to be more careful. The dark side is strong here. It's not going to let us leave easily. Naruto grinned, despite the danger. Then let's give it a fight it won't forget. As they continued through the ruins, Naruto and Bastila encountered several more dangers, Sith patrols, dark side creatures, and ancient traps designed to protect the holocron. Each challenge tested their skills and their growing partnership. In one particularly intense encounter, they faced a group of Sith soldiers who had been guarding the ruins. The battle was fierce, with Naruto's shadow clones and Bastila's lightsaber working in tandem to take down the Sith. You're incredible in combat, Bastila said as they caught their breath after the battle. Your ability to adapt and improvise is unmatched. Naruto grinned. Thanks. I've had a lot of practice. And you're not bad yourself. Your lightsaber skills are amazing. Bastila's lips twitched into a small smile. I've trained for years. But your raw talent, it's something else. Naruto chuckled. Talent and hard work, right? As they moved deeper into the ruins, they stumbled upon a hidden chamber that seemed to hold the key to Naruto's return. The room was filled with ancient technology and strange, glowing symbols. In the center stood a large, circular platform, its surface etched with intricate designs. This looks promising, Bastila said, examining the platform. This could be a dimensional transport device. If we can activate it, it might send us back to your world. Naruto's eyes lit up. Really? That'd be amazing. Bastila nodded. But we need to figure out how to activate it. The technology here is ancient, and we don't know what it might require. They searched the chamber, looking for any clues that might help them activate the device. Naruto examined the symbols on the platform, trying to decipher their meaning. These symbols, they look familiar, he said, tracing one with his finger. Like the ones on the holocron. Bastila joined him, her eyes scanning the symbols. You might be right. The holocron could contain the key to activating this device. Naruto's expression hardened. Then we need to get it. No matter what. Bastila's expression was conflicted. The holocron is dangerous. We don't know what it contains, or how it will affect you. Naruto took a deep breath. I'll risk it. My people are waiting for me. I need to get back to them. Bastila nodded, her resolve hardening. Then we'll get it. Together. As they made their way back to the chamber with the holocron, they knew they were walking into danger. But they also knew they were fighting for something greater, a chance to return home, to protect their loved ones, and to face the challenges that lay ahead. This is just the beginning, Naruto thought as they approached the chamber. And I'm not going to back down. The chamber with the holocron was exactly as they had left it, the pedestal in the center, the dark energy still pulsing from the small, dark object. The air was thick with the scent of decay, and the symbols on the walls glowed with an eerie light. Naruto and Bastila stepped into the chamber, their senses on high alert. The holocron seemed to sense their presence, its energy flaring up as if in response. Stay close, Bastila warned, her lightsaber humming softly. We don't know what this thing will do. Naruto nodded, his hand hovering over the holocron. I'll be careful. But we need this. He reached out, his fingers brushing against the surface of the holocron. The moment his skin made contact, a surge of dark side energy flooded into him, filling his mind with visions of power, of conquest, of destruction. No! Bastila shouted, trying to pull him away. It's too strong. You'll be consumed. Naruto fought against the dark side influence, his chakra struggling to maintain control. He could feel the nine tails stirring within him, the dark energy threatening to overtake him. Naruto. Bastila's voice cut through the chaos. Focus. Use the force. Naruto closed his eyes, taking a deep breath. He reached out to the force, feeling Bastila's energy guiding him. He concentrated, using the force to push back against the dark side influence. The energy surged, the holocron's power clashing with Naruto's chakra and the force. For a moment, it seemed like the dark side would overwhelm him. Then, with a final surge of will, Naruto pushed the dark side energy away, his chakra and the force working in harmony to expel the influence. He collapsed to the ground, panting heavily. Bastila knelt beside him, her expression a mix of concern and relief. "You did it," she said, helping him to his feet. "You resisted the dark side." Naruto grinned, though he was still breathing heavily. "Told you I could handle it." Bastila's lips twitched into a small smile. "You did. But let's not make a habit of it." They examined the holocron, now dormant. The symbols on its surface were still visible, and Naruto could feel a faint connection to the device in the other chamber. "This is it," Naruto said, his voice determined. "We need to activate that dimensional transport device." Bastila nodded. "Then let's get to work. We have a world to save, and a home to return to." As they made their way back to the chamber with the dimensional transport device, they knew they were walking into the unknown. But they also knew they were stronger together, and that they had a chance to achieve the impossible. "This is just the beginning," Naruto thought as they approached the chamber. "And I'm not going to back down." The dimensional transport device was exactly as Bastila had described, a large, circular platform etched with intricate symbols, its surface glowing with a faint, blue light. The air around it hummed with energy, and the symbols seemed to shift and change as if alive. Naruto and Bastila stepped into the chamber, their senses on high alert. The holocron was in their possession, its dark energy now dormant. But they knew the danger wasn't over. "We need to activate this device," Bastila said, examining the symbols on the platform. "The holocron might hold the key, but we need to figure out how to use it." Naruto nodded, holding the holocron in his hand. "Let's see what it says." He activated the holocron, and a holographic projection appeared above the platform. The projection showed a series of symbols and diagrams, along with text in an ancient language. Bastila leaned in, her eyes scanning the projection. "This looks like instructions for activating the device. We need to align the symbols on the holocron with the ones on the platform." Naruto nodded and began to align the symbols, his hands moving with precision. As he did, the symbols on the platform began to glow brighter, the energy around them intensifying. "It's working," Bastila said, her voice filled with awe. "The device is activating." The platform began to hum with a powerful energy, the symbols glowing with a bright blue light. The air around them crackled with electricity, and the ground trembled beneath their feet. "We need to get on the platform," Bastila said, her voice urgent. "If we don't activate it properly, we could be trapped here." Naruto nodded and stepped onto the platform, Bastila following close behind. As they stood on the platform, the energy around them intensified, the symbols glowing brighter and brighter. "The device is stabilizing," Bastila said, her voice filled with excitement. "We're going to make it." Suddenly, the platform began to glow with a bright blue light, and the symbols around them started to shift and change. The air around them crackled with energy, and the ground trembled beneath their feet. "We're being transported," Bastila shouted as the platform began to rise, the symbols around them shifting and changing. Naruto grinned, his heart pounding with excitement. "This is it. We're going home." The platform lifted off the ground, the symbols around them glowing with a bright blue light. The air around them crackled with energy, and the chamber began to dissolve around them. As they were transported, Naruto felt a sense of relief and excitement. He was going home, back to his friends and family. And he wasn't alone, Bastila was with him, and together, they had faced the dangers of this new world and emerged stronger. This is just the beginning, Naruto thought as the platform continued to rise, the symbols around them glowing brighter and brighter. And I'm not going to back down. The transport was disorienting, a blinding blue light, a sensation of being stretched and folded through space. Naruto felt Bastila's hand gripping his arm for stability, her presence a reassuring anchor in the chaos. Then, abruptly, the light faded and the sensation stopped. They were standing on solid ground again. Naruto blinked, taking in his surroundings. It wasn't Konoha. The sky was different, stars unfamiliar, the air smelling of unfamiliar scents. But the architecture, the stone structures, the layout. Wait, Naruto said, turning to Bastila. This isn't my world. Bastila scanned their surroundings, her lightsaber humming softly. We're not in your dimension, but we're not in the ruins either. This looks like an ancient Sith temple. Naruto's eyes widened as he recognized the familiar symbols etched into the stone walls, symbols he'd seen in the holocron's projection, but never in person. The architecture was unmistakably Sith, with towering spires and dark, foreboding statues. We've been transported somewhere else, Bastila said grimly. Somewhere the holocron directed us. Naruto's mind raced. But why? What does this place have to do with getting me home? Before Bastila could answer, the ground beneath them trembled. A deep, resonant hum filled the air, a sound Naruto had heard only once before, during his battle with the dimensional manipulating Otsutsuki descendant. The dimensional gateway is opening again, Bastila realized, her voice tight. Something, or someone, is coming through. From the shadows of the temple, figures began to emerge. Clad in black armor with red accents, their faces obscured by masks, they moved with unnatural speed and precision. Their weapons glowed with a dark, energy-based light. Sith, Bastila breathed, igniting her lightsaber. We're in trouble. Naruto drew his practiced lightsaber, his chakra surging to the surface. Looks like we've walked into a nest. The Sith warriors spread out, surrounding the temple courtyard. Their leader, a tall figure in elaborate black armor with a curved red lightsaber, stepped forward. You tread upon sacred ground, Jedi, the Sith Lord announced, his voice echoing unnaturally loud in the courtyard. And you bring with you a disturbance, an anomaly. Naruto felt the Force reacting violently to his presence, the same sensation he'd felt when first arriving in this universe, but amplified. The Sith Lord's eyes locked onto him. The Balance Bringer, the Sith Lord said, the title carrying weight. The prophecy speaks of one who would come from beyond, neither light nor dark, to reshape the Force itself. Bastila stepped in front of Naruto, her lightsaber ready. You seek to use him. He is not yours to command. The Sith Lord smiled, a cold, predatory expression. We do not seek to command him. We seek to understand him, and to harness the power he represents. The Force has brought him to us for a reason. Naruto felt the Ninetales stirring aggressively within him, sensing the dark side energy radiating from the Sith. Kit. Kurama's voice was unusually tense. This place, it's dangerous. The dark side is thick here. I'm not some tool, Naruto said, his voice steady despite the fear clawing at his chest. And I'm not letting you use me. The Sith Lord raised his lightsaber, the red blade igniting with a snap hiss. Then you leave us no choice but to take what we require. The courtyard erupted into chaos as the Sith warriors lunged forward. Bastila moved like liquid lightning, her yellow blade flashing to parry attacks while her battle meditation subtly boosted her allies' speed and accuracy. Naruto didn't hesitate, he formed 3 shadow clones in an instant, each drawing a kunai from his pouch and hurling it toward the advancing Sith. The projectiles exploded in mid-air, creating clouds of smoke that obscured the enemy's vision. Wind style, Rasen Shuriken, he shouted, launching spinning energy blades from his clone's hands. The Sith warriors deflected most of the attacks with their own lightsabers, but several took hits, their armor screeching as the Razengans tore through it. One warrior stumbled, his arm severed by a particularly powerful strike. Naruto didn't stop there. He sprinted forward, using chakra-enhanced speed to close the distance. A quick spin brought him behind an opponent, and he drove a kunai into the Sith's back, leveraging the angle to bypass the armor. Bastila fought beside him, her lightsaber weaving a deadly dance. She used the force to trip an attacker, then spun to slice another's leg. When a Sith warrior tried to flank her, Naruto's clone materialized directly in the enemy's path, tackling them to the ground. "We're holding them off," Bastila panted, "but we're outnumbered. We need to find a way out of here." Naruto scanned the temple courtyard. "There." He pointed to a narrow passageway at the far end, partially hidden by statues. "That's our escape route." They fought their way toward the passage, Naruto using shadow clones to create diversions while Bastila provided cover fire with her lightsaber. When they reached the entrance, Naruto formed a final set of clones. "Stay close," he shouted, and the clones exploded in a coordinated burst of chakra, creating a massive shockwave that knocked several Sith off their feet. Bastila didn't hesitate. She grabbed Naruto's arm and pulled him into the passage just as a blast from a Sith's energy weapon shattered the stone behind them. They ran through the narrow corridor, the air thick with dust and the distant sounds of pursuit. The passage twisted and turned, leading them deeper into the temple's undercroft. "We need to find a way to seal this place," Bastila said, her breath coming in short gasps. "If the Sith follow us, we'll be trapped." Naruto skidded to a halt, spotting a large, ancient-looking seal etched into the wall. "There. That looks like a containment seal." Bastila examined it closely. "It's damaged, but maybe we can repair it. Do you have any sealing techniques?" Naruto grinned. "I've got something." He pressed his hand to the seal, focusing his chakra. The ancient symbols began to glow faintly, responding to his energy. With a concentrated effort, he channeled a modified version of the Leaf Village's barrier techniques, infusing it with the unique properties of his chakra and the force energy he could now sense. The seal flared brightly, then snapped into place with a resonant chime. A shimmering barrier shimmered into existence across the corridor entrance. "Done," Naruto said, panting. "That should hold them for a while." Bastila leaned against the wall, catching her breath. "Good work. Now, where do we go from here?" Naruto looked around. The corridor opened into a larger chamber filled with ancient Sith artifacts and holographic displays. In the center stood a raised platform with a glowing, pyramid-shaped object. "Is that another holocron?" he asked. "Worse," Bastila said grimly, moving closer to examine it. "That's a Sith artifact, a dark side focus. It's incredibly powerful, and it's still active." As they approached, the pyramid began to hum, its surface swirling with dark energy. Naruto felt the nine tails reacting violently within him, the seal trembling under the strain. "Kurama, stay calm," Naruto commanded internally. "We can't let it take over." The fox's voice was strained. "This place, it's feeding me. The dark side energy is stronger than anything we've ever felt." Bastila placed a hand on Naruto's shoulder. "We need to move. This artifact is unstable, and the Sith will return once they breach the seal." Naruto nodded, his eyes fixed on the pyramid. "There's something here, something important. I can feel it." Bastila's expression hardened. "Then we take it with us. If the Sith regain access to this power, it could change the entire war." They moved toward the artifact, but as they approached, the ground trembled again. The seal they'd placed began to glow red, its integrity failing under the pressure of the dark side energy radiating from the pyramid. "They're breaking through," Bastila realized. "We don't have time." Naruto made a decision. "I'll carry it. My chakra might shield it." He approached the pyramid, ignoring the warning prickling at the back of his neck. The moment his fingers touched the cold, dark metal, a wave of icy energy surged through him, different from the Nine Tails' heat, colder, sharper. "Kit!" Kurama shouted in alarm. "It's trying to consume you." Naruto gritted his teeth, focusing. He wrapped the artifact in a layer of chakra, creating a protective barrier around it. The dark energy fought back, but he held firm. "I've got it," he said, cradling the pyramid to his chest. "Let's move." They sprinted down the corridor as the seal behind them shattered, Sith warriors pouring into the chamber. Bastila led the way, her lightsaber cutting a path through the advancing enemies. Naruto kept pace, the artifact pulsing against him like a living thing. He could feel its dark energy leaching into him, but he forced his chakra to resist, creating a wall between himself and the corruption. "We're almost there," Bastila shouted, pointing ahead. The corridor opened into a large, circular chamber with a massive, ancient-looking portal at its center. The portal glowed with a soft, blue light, its surface shimmering like liquid stone. A dimensional gateway, Bastila realized. It looks like it's still active. Naruto's eyes widened. Could this be a way back to my world? Possibly, Bastila said, her voice tight with urgency. But we don't know where it leads. It could be another trap. Better than staying here, Naruto said, already moving toward the portal. He stepped through the shimmering surface, Bastila close behind. For a moment, there was disorientation, colors bleeding together, sounds warping, and then they landed hard on solid ground, Naruto stumbling and nearly dropping the artifact. Bastila caught him, steadying him as they both took in their new surroundings. It was a vast, open plain under a sky dominated by two suns. Strange, multi-legged creatures grazed in the distance, and the air smelled of dry earth and unfamiliar plants. "We're not in your world," Bastila said, scanning the horizon. "But we're not in the Sith temple either." Naruto looked around, his mind racing. "Where are we?" Before either could answer, the ground trembled again. From the edge of the plain, a dark shape emerged, a massive, winged creature with glowing red eyes and armor plates shifting across its body. "A banda?" Bastila whispered, recognizing the creature from her studies. "No. Bigger than any banda I've ever seen." The creature let out a deep, guttural roar, its wings beating powerfully. It charged toward them, its massive hooves kicking up dust. "We need to move," Naruto shouted, gripping the artifact tightly. Bastila ignited her lightsaber. "We'll hold it off. You find a way out of here." Naruto didn't argue. He sprinted toward a cluster of rocks, the artifact still pulsing against him. The creature was fast, but he was faster, chakra-enhanced speed carrying him away from the charging beast. He reached the rocks and ducked behind them, catching his breath. The artifact's dark energy still fought against his chakra barrier, but he held firm. "Bastila!" He called out with his mind, using a technique he developed back in Konoha for short-range mental communication. "How's the fight going?" "It's not going well," Bastila replied, her voice strained in his mind. "The creature is too large to take down quickly, and I can feel the dark side energy affecting it. It's being manipulated. Can you control it with your battle meditation?" Naruto asked. "Not with something this large and influenced by dark side energy," Bastila admitted. "I need backup." Naruto looked around, spotting several large, crystalline formations nearby. An idea sparked. "I have a plan," he said, moving toward the crystals. "Create a distraction, I'll handle the rest." Without waiting for a response, Naruto sprinted toward the crystals. He placed the artifact on the ground between them, then formed hand seals. Wind style, Rasen Shuriken. 3 massive spinning energy blades erupted from the crystals, hurtling toward the charging banda. The creature dodged 2, but the third struck its flank, embedding itself in the creature's hide. The banda screamed, rearing back on its hind legs and thrashing its head. Bastila seized the moment, sprinting toward Naruto's position. "Now!" Naruto shouted. Bastila raised her hand, focusing her battle meditation. The bantha's movement slowed, its rage dampening under the influence of her technique. Naruto didn't waste the opening. He formed more Razengans, targeting the creature's legs. With each strike, the bantha's mobility decreased, until finally, it collapsed to the ground, unconscious. Bastila collapsed beside Naruto, panting. "That was incredible. Your Rasengan technique combined with my meditation, it worked. Naruto grinned, retrieving the artifact. Told you I had a plan. They stood together, catching their breath and assessing their next move. The plain stretched endlessly around them, and the two suns began their descent. We need shelter, Bastila said. And we need to figure out where this gateway leads us. Naruto nodded, his mind already racing with possibilities. We'll find a way back to my world. I'm not giving up. As they moved toward a cluster of rocks for cover, Naruto felt a strange sense of calm. Despite the danger, despite the unknown, he knew he wasn't alone. He had Bastila by his side, and together, they would face whatever came next. Back in the Jedi Enclave on Dantooine, Master Vandar Tokare stood alone in the meditation garden, his small green body wrapped in Jedi robes. The Force whispered to him, revealing secrets he wasn't sure he wanted to know. The Balance Bringer has awakened, he murmured to the empty garden. And the path forward is shrouded in darkness. He closed his eyes, reaching out with his mind. Somewhere across galaxies and dimensions, two souls had begun a journey that would reshape the Force itself. And he, Vandar Tokare, would be there to guide them, or to try, at least. Chapter 3, Balance Bringer. The twin suns cast long shadows across the barren landscape as Naruto and Bastila made their way toward a cluster of rock formations in the distance. The pyramid-shaped Sith artifact pulsed against Naruto's chest, its dark energy contained only by his constantly flowing chakra. Any idea where we are? Naruto asked, wiping sweat from his brow. The heat from the dual suns was intense, baking the cracked earth beneath their feet. Bastila shook her head, her eyes scanning the horizon. Not precisely. Based on the twin suns and terrain, we could be on Tatooine, but something feels different about the Force here. It's older. Wilder. Naruto nodded, feeling it too. The energy here didn't flow like it had on Dantooine. Instead, it swirled and eddied, sometimes calm, sometimes violent, like a storm-tossed sea. How's your furry friend handling this place? Bastila asked, nodding toward Naruto's stomach where the seal containing the nine tails was located. Kurama's restless, Naruto admitted. The dark side energy from this artifact keeps trying to reach him. He says it's like hearing whispers he can't quite understand. And I don't want to understand them, Kurama growled within Naruto's mind. This energy is ancient and corrupt. It seeks to twist us both, Kit. They reached the rock formation as the first sun began to dip below the horizon. The rocks formed a natural shelter, a shallow cave with enough space for both of them to rest comfortably. We'll camp here tonight, Bastila decided, inspecting the cave for signs of local wildlife. Tomorrow we can try to locate civilization and figure out our next move. Naruto carefully placed the Sith artifact on a flat rock, maintaining his chakra barrier around it. I've been thinking, he said, sitting cross-legged opposite Bastila. This thing keeps trying to corrupt me, but what if we could purify it instead? Bastila looked skeptical. Sith artifacts are notoriously resistant to purification. Many Jedi have tried and failed, usually at great personal cost. Yeah, but I'm not exactly a typical Jedi, Naruto grinned. I've got experience with corrupting energies. The Nine Tails used to be nothing but hatred and rage. Now we're partners. The comparison is apt, but the situations are different, Bastila said, settling into a meditation posture. The Nine Tails is a living entity capable of change. This artifact was created specifically to channel dark side energy. Its very purpose is corruption. Naruto frowned, studying the pyramid. Everything has a purpose. But purposes can change. Bastila's expression softened. Your optimism is refreshing. She closed her eyes, beginning her evening meditation. Perhaps you're right. The ancient texts speak of Force artifacts being cleansed through specific rituals. So let's try it, Naruto suggested eagerly. Not yet, Bastila cautioned. We need to understand what we're dealing with first. This artifact could be a key to returning you home, or it could be bait in an elaborate trap. We must proceed carefully. Naruto sighed but nodded. Fine. But I hate sitting around doing nothing. Then don't, Bastila said, opening one eye. Join me in meditation. Your connection to the Force has grown stronger. Perhaps together we can sense a path forward. Naruto hesitated. Meditation had never been his strong suit, but eventually settled into a cross-legged position mirroring Bastila's. He closed his eyes and took a deep breath, trying to calm his naturally active mind. To his surprise, the Force responded immediately, flowing around him like a gentle current. He could sense Bastila's presence, bright and disciplined, and beyond her, the vast web of energy connecting all living things. I can feel it, he murmured. The Force is different here. More balanced. Yes, Bastila agreed softly. Neither light nor dark dominates. They coexist in a way I've rarely experienced. As their meditation deepened, Naruto became aware of a third presence, Kurama, joining their communion through their shared mindscape. The fox's energy was distinct from the Force, yet somehow complementary. The kid is right, Kurama's voice echoed in both their minds, causing Bastila to startle slightly. This place exists at a nexus point. The energies here are neither light nor dark, but something else entirely. The fox speaks directly to me, Bastila observed, her voice calm despite her surprise. How is this possible? We're connected through the meditation, Naruto explained. Kurama can reach anyone I'm mentally linked with. Bastila's concentration intensified. This could be useful. A three-way connection might allow us to better understand the artifact. Together, they extended their awareness toward the Sith pyramid. Its dark energy pulsed like a heartbeat, but beneath the corruption, Naruto sensed something else, a purpose, an intent that predated its dark side contamination. It was not always a Sith tool, Kurama observed. It's been corrupted, just as I once was. He's right, Bastila said, her voice filled with wonder. This artifact is ancient, it predates the Jedi-Sith schism. It was originally a focusing crystal, a tool for communing with the Force in its purest form. Naruto's eyes snapped open. So it could be cleansed. Restored to its original purpose. Possibly, Bastila conceded, opening her eyes as well. But the corruption runs deep. It would require immense power and perfect balance to purify it without being overwhelmed. Naruto grinned. Balance bringer, remember? That's supposed to be me. Bastila's expression grew serious. Naruto, prophecies are dangerous things to stake one's life on. Many have fallen trying to fulfill a destiny they believed was theirs. I'm not doing it because of some prophecy, Naruto insisted. I'm doing it because it's the right thing. This artifact could help us understand how I got here, and how to get back. If cleansing it is what it takes, then that's what I'll do. Bastila studied him for a long moment, then nodded slowly. Very well. But not tonight. We'll need to prepare, and I need to teach you some protective techniques first. As night fell completely, they took turns keeping watch. The twin moons cast an ethereal glow over the landscape, and strange calls echoed across the desert. Naruto sat at the cave entrance during his watch, the Sith artifact beside him, still wrapped in his protective chakra. You know, back home, people used to be afraid of me, he said quietly when Bastila woke for her turn. They saw the nine tails, not me. It took years to change their minds. Bastila sat beside him, her presence steady and calming. How did you do it? By showing them who I really was, Naruto replied, gazing up at the unfamiliar stars. By protecting them, by never giving up, by proving I wasn't what they feared. And now you seek to do the same with this artifact. To show it doesn't have to be what the Sith made it. Naruto nodded. Everything deserves a chance to be what it was meant to be. In the silence that followed, something shifted between them, an understanding, a connection deeper than either had anticipated. Bastila's hand found his in the darkness, a brief, reassuring touch. "Rest," she said gently. "Tomorrow will bring its own challenges." Morning came with alarming speed as the first sun crested the horizon. Naruto woke to find Bastila already up, her lightsaber ignited as she faced the cave entrance. "We have company," she said tersely. Naruto was on his feet instantly, chakra surging through his system. Outside, a group of figures approached, humanoid but not human, with pale skin and elaborate facial tattoos. They wore a mix of primitive clothing and scavenged tech, and carried weapons that looked like a cross between spears and lightsabers. Sand people, Bastila identified them. Tusken Raiders. They're indigenous to Tatooine, but these seem different. More organized. Naruto counted 12 raiders advancing on their position. Hostile? Almost certainly. Tuskens are territorial and aggressive toward outsiders. Naruto formed his cross seal. Shadow Clone Jutsu. 5 perfect copies of Naruto appeared around the cave entrance, each armed with a kunai. The Tuskens faltered, clearly surprised by the technique. "Let me try something before we fight," Naruto suggested. He stepped forward, hands raised in a universal gesture of peace. "Hey! We don't want trouble. We're just passing through." The lead Tusken raised his staff saber, the tip glowing with energy, and let out a series of harsh, guttural sounds. "They don't speak basic," Bastila warned. "And they rarely negotiate with outsiders." To their surprise, another Tusken stepped forward, smaller than the others, with distinct markings on their mask. This one made different sounds, then reached up and removed their mask. Beneath was a human face, female, middle-aged, with weather-beaten skin and eyes that had seen too much. "You are trespassers on sacred ground," she said in heavily accented basic. "But you carry the pyramid of seeing. The prophecy speaks of your coming." Naruto and Bastila exchanged shocked glances. "You know what this is?" Naruto asked, gesturing to the Sith artifact. The woman nodded. "I am Iark, shaman of the Ghost Clan. We have guarded the knowledge of the balance point for generations." She pointed to a distant mesa, barely visible on the horizon. "There lies the nexus you seek, the place where worlds touch." Bastila stepped forward, her lightsaber still active but lowered. "How do you know of us? Of our quest?" "The sands speak. The Force speaks. And we listen." Iark replaced her mask. "Come. The path is dangerous, and the sun grows high." Naruto glanced at Bastila, who nodded cautiously. They gathered their few possessions, Naruto securing the artifact inside his jacket, and followed Iark and her Tusken escort across the desert. As they walked, Naruto sensed strange fluctuations in the Force, areas where it seemed to thin out, as if the barrier between worlds was weaker. "Do you feel that?" he asked Bastila quietly. She nodded. "Dimensional instabilities. This place is unstable. Like fabric stretched too thin." Iark led them through a winding path between massive rock formations, eventually arriving at a hidden oasis, a small pool of water surrounded by hardy desert plants and tents made from animal hides and salvaged materials. "The Ghost Clan camp," she explained, gesturing around. "Here we have lived since the Great Purge, watching and waiting for the Balance Bringer." Inside the largest tent, Iark showed them ancient cave paintings depicting a figure surrounded by swirling energy, one side orange, one side blue, holding what appeared to be the pyramid artifact. "The Seeing Stone," Iark explained, pointing to the pyramid. "Once it showed the path between worlds. The Dark Ones corrupted it, turned it to their purpose. But its original nature remains, buried deep." The Sith, Bastila realized. "They found this artifact and corrupted it." Iark nodded. "Long ago. Before the Jedi, before the Sith. When the Force was simply the Force." Naruto studied the paintings closely. And this figure, the one with the two-colored energy, that's supposed to be the balance bringer? One who walks between worlds, Ayark confirmed. Neither of darkness nor of light, but of balance. The one who will restore the seeing stone and open the path. Bastila's expression was skeptical. These prophecies are remarkably convenient, given our situation. Ayark made a sound that might have been a laugh. The Force does not deal in convenience, Jedi. It deals in necessity. The balance bringer comes because balance must be restored. She pointed to another painting, darker, more ominous, showing a shadowy figure emerging from a tear in reality. The imbalance has consequences. The hunger comes. The hunger? Naruto asked, feeling Kurama stir uneasily within him. An ancient entity. Neither Sith nor Jedi, but older. It feeds on worlds where balance is lost. Ayark's voice lowered. It has sensed you, balance bringer. Your crossing between worlds has awakened it. Bastila frowned. You're suggesting that Naruto's arrival in our universe has triggered some sort of interdimensional predator? Not triggered. Revealed. Ayark moved to a rough-hewn table, where she unfolded an ancient star chart. The hunger has always been there, sleeping in the spaces between. Now it wakes, and it hungers for worlds rich in force energy, like this one, like yours. Naruto felt a chill despite the desert heat. How do we stop it? Restore the balance. Cleanse the seeing stone. Use it to close the pathways the hunger would use. Ayark traced a line on the star chart to a specific point. The balance point. The nexus where worlds touch. There, the veil is thinnest. There, the stone may be cleansed. Naruto looked at Bastila. It's our best lead so far. We should check it out. Bastila nodded reluctantly. I agree, though I remain skeptical of convenient prophecies. But the force disturbances are real, and this balance point may indeed help us understand what's happening. They spent the rest of the day preparing for the journey to the balance point. Ayark provided them with supplies, water, and crude maps of the terrain. The other Tuscans kept their distance, watching the outsiders with a mixture of awe and suspicion. As evening approached, Naruto found a quiet spot at the edge of the camp to practice the cleansing techniques Bastila had begun teaching him. He sat cross-legged, the pyramid artifact before him, focusing on channeling both his chakra and the force in equal measure. Bastila joined him, settling into her own meditation posture. Remember, balance is key. Too much light, and you blind yourself to half of reality. Too much dark, and you lose yourself to power. Balance, Naruto repeated, focusing on the swirling energies around him. Like sage mode, but with the force. Together, they reached out to the artifact, probing its corrupted energy with careful precision. The dark side lashed out at their intrusion, but Naruto's chakra formed a protective barrier, allowing Bastila's light side techniques to penetrate deeper. There, Kurama's voice guided them. Beneath the corruption, can you feel it? The original pattern. Naruto sensed it, a crystalline structure of pure force energy, neither light nor dark, but something more fundamental. The pyramid's true nature, buried beneath centuries of Sith manipulation. It's like the artifact has been programmed, Naruto observed, opening his eyes. Overwritten with dark side energy, but the original code is still there. Bastila nodded, impressed by his insight. A good analogy. The question is whether we can restore that original programming without being corrupted ourselves. We'll find out tomorrow, Naruto said, looking toward the distant mesa Ayark had identified as the balance point. At the nexus point. That night, as they sat around the Tuscan campfire, Ayark shared stories of her people's history, how they had once been connected to the Force in ways neither Jedi nor Sith understood, how they had been driven to the margins by colonizers and conquerors, how they had preserved ancient knowledge when others sought to destroy it. Your path of balance was once our way, she told them. Before the division. Before light fought dark. Bastila listened with growing interest. The Jedi teach that the dark side is corruption, a cancer on the Force. And the Sith teach that the light is weakness, Ayark countered. Both are wrong. Both are right. The Force simply is. Like the desert, neither cruel nor kind, simply real. As the fire burned low, Ayark left them to prepare for tomorrow's journey. Naruto and Bastila remained by the embers, their shoulders nearly touching as they gazed up at the stars. Do you think she's right? Naruto asked quietly. About balance? Bastila was silent for a long moment. The Jedi Code has been my guide since childhood. There is no emotion, there is peace. There is no ignorance, there is knowledge. There is no passion, there is serenity. There is no chaos, there is harmony. There is no death, there is the Force. Sounds pretty strict, Naruto observed. It provides structure, discipline. Without it. She hesitated. Without it, we risk falling to the dark side. But is that really true? Naruto pressed. Back in my world, we understand that darkness exists in everyone. The trick isn't to pretend it's not there, but to acknowledge it and choose a different path. Like you did with the Nine Tails. Naruto nodded. Exactly. Kurama was pure hatred when I first met him. But that wasn't his true nature, it was just what life had made him. Once we understood each other, once we formed a partnership instead of a battle for control, we both became stronger. Bastila's hand found his in the darkness. Your world's philosophy sounds freeing. It's not perfect, Naruto admitted. We've had our share of wars, hatred, people seeking power at any cost. But we try to see the full picture, the light and the dark, and everything in between. Their conversation drifted to lighter topics, Naruto telling stories of his friends in Konoha, Bastila sharing rare moments of humor from her Jedi training. As the night deepened, a comfortable silence fell between them. We should rest, Bastila finally said, though she made no move to leave. Yeah, Naruto agreed, equally stationary. Their eyes met in the dying firelight. Bastila's usual composure wavered, and Naruto found himself leaning closer, drawn by something beyond conscious thought. Their lips met briefly, a question more than a statement, gentle and uncertain. When they separated, Bastila's eyes were wide with surprise, not at Naruto but at herself. I'm sorry, she whispered. That was perfect, Naruto finished, smiling softly. Bastila stood abruptly, her Jedi training reasserting itself. We should sleep. Tomorrow will be challenging. She walked quickly to her tent, leaving Naruto alone by the embers. He touched his lips lightly, still feeling the brief connection. You're playing with fire, Kit, Kurama observed, though without judgment. Story of my life, Naruto replied with a mental grin. Dawn came with a sandstorm, howling winds that reduced visibility to mere meters. Ayark insisted they leave anyway. The storm will hide us from those who watch, she explained cryptically. The Dark Ones have sensed the Seeing Stone's movement. They will come. They set out across the desert, Ayark leading a small group of Tusken warriors. Naruto and Bastila walked side by side, neither mentioning the previous night's moment by the fire, though the air between them hummed with unspoken words. Something's following us, Naruto said after they'd been traveling for several hours. His enhanced senses, combined with Sage Mode, could detect presences even through the swirling sand. Bastila nodded, having sensed it too. Multiple signatures. Strong in the dark side. Ayark gestured for the group to take cover behind a large dune. Sith hunters. They tracked the Seeing Stone. How far to the balance point? Bastila asked, her hand on her lightsaber. Half a day's journey, Ayark replied. But we will not reach it if the hunters find us first. Naruto peered through the sandstorm, using his force-enhanced senses to gauge their pursuers. 6 of them, moving fast. Probably on speeders. He formed his shadow clones, 10 identical copies, each carrying a decoy pack to mimic the artifact's energy signature. My clones will lead them away. We'll continue to the balance point. Bastila looked impressed. Good thinking. The sand will obscure the fact that they're clones until it's too late. The clones set off in different directions, each emitting a chakra signature similar to the real artifact. Within minutes, they heard the whine of speeder engines changing course, pursuing the false trails. Clever, balance bringer, Iark acknowledged. But the hunters will realize the deception eventually. Then we better move fast, Naruto said, adjusting the real artifact in his pack. They pressed on through the storm, the sand gradually giving way to rocky terrain as they approached the mesa. The balance point rose before them, a towering formation of red rock with a flat top, accessible by a winding natural path. We must climb, Iark said, pointing to the path. The nexus lies at the summit. As they began their ascent, Naruto felt the force growing stronger around them. The air seemed to shimmer with energy, and strange echoes carried on the wind, voices speaking in languages he didn't recognize. The veil thins here, Bastila observed, her voice hushed. I can feel possibilities. Pathways. Halfway up the mesa, disaster struck. A focused blast of force lightning tore through the air, striking one of the Tuscan warriors and sending him plummeting from the path. Below them, dark figures emerged from the storm, Sith assassins, their red lightsabers cutting through the swirling sand. They found us. Bastila ignited her yellow blade, preparing to defend the group. Naruto formed more shadow clones, sending them to engage the Sith while the main group continued climbing. Go. Get to the nexus. I'll hold them off. I'll stay with you, Bastila insisted. No. Iark grabbed Bastila's arm. The balance bringer needs you at the nexus. The cleansing requires both energies, his chakra, your force control. Bastila hesitated, torn between duty and concern. Naruto met her eyes. Go, he said firmly. I'll be right behind you. She nodded reluctantly, continuing up the path with Iark while Naruto and his clones faced the pursuing Sith. The battle was chaotic, lightsabers clashing with Rasengan techniques amid swirling sand. Naruto held his own, his unique combination of ninja techniques and growing force sensitivity keeping the Sith at bay. But they were skilled hunters, trained specifically to track force artifacts. One by one, they eliminated Naruto's clones and advanced up the path. At the summit, Bastila and Iark reached the nexus, a circular platform of ancient stone, covered in symbols similar to those on the pyramid artifact. In the center was a depression perfectly shaped to hold the pyramid. Hurry, Iark urged as they heard the battle raging below. Place the seeing stone in the cradle. Begin the cleansing ritual. Bastila hesitated. We should wait for Naruto. The ritual requires his chakra. There is no time. Iark insisted. The veil is at its thinnest now, with the suns in alignment. If we wait, the opportunity passes. Reluctantly, Bastila removed the artifact from her pack. As she approached the center of the platform, the pyramid began to pulse more intensely, as if recognizing its rightful place. Below, Naruto found himself outnumbered. 3 Sith remained, coordinating their attacks with deadly precision. He'd been forced to rely more heavily on the Ninetales chakra, which responded eagerly to the combat, but Kurama warned him of the danger. The dark side is feeding on our connection, Kit. It's trying to corrupt our bond. Naruto felt it, a subtle shifting in the familiar chakra, a darker edge to its usual warmth. He pushed back against the influence, maintaining the balance he'd worked so hard to achieve with the Ninetales. With a final burst of speed, he created an opening and sprinted up the path, leaving his last clone to delay the Sith. He reached the summit just as Bastila was placing the pyramid in the central depression. Wait, he called, but it was too late. The moment the artifact touched the ancient stone, a surge of energy erupted from the nexus. The pyramid glowed with intense dark side power, and the air around the platform began to tear, reality itself splitting to reveal a swirling vortex of stars and darkness. "What's happening?" Bastila shouted over the howling energies. Iark's posture changed, her voice dropping to a deeper, more resonant tone. The awakening of the hunger. With horrifying clarity, Naruto and Bastila realized the truth. Iark, or whatever was controlling her, had led them into a trap. The cleansing ritual was actually an activation sequence, using the artifact to tear open the barrier between dimensions. "You tricked us," Naruto growled. Chakra flaring around him. "Not tricked," the entity using Iark's body replied. "Guided. The hunger needs a doorway. You provided it." The possessed Tuscan gestured to the growing portal. "My master comes. The devourer of worlds." Through the portal, a massive shape began to emerge, a writhing mass of darkness with countless eyes, its form shifting and changing as it struggled to adapt to their reality. The air grew cold, and a sense of dread washed over the mesa. "We need to close that portal," Bastila shouted, running toward the artifact. The possessed Iark moved with supernatural speed, intercepting her with a blast of dark side energy that sent Bastila flying backward. "The doorway remains open. The hunger must feed." Naruto caught Bastila before she hit the ground, helping her to her feet. "We need to get that artifact." "The possession first," Bastila insisted. "Whatever's controlling Iark is maintaining the connection. We need to free her." Naruto nodded and created 3 shadow clones, each charging from a different angle. The possessed Tuscan handled the first 2 with ease, but the distraction allowed Bastila to get close, her lightsaber a blur of yellow energy. With precise control, she struck not to kill but to disrupt, her blade passing close enough to Iark to sever the dark side connection without harming the Tuscan physically. Iark collapsed, the possessing entity forced out of her body. It manifested briefly as a dark mist before dissipating with an inhuman scream. "The artifact!" Naruto shouted, running toward the center of the platform. The pyramid pulsed with corrupt energy, the portal above it growing larger. The creature, the hunger, was pushing through more rapidly now, massive tendrils of darkness reaching toward their reality. "How do we close it?" Bastila asked, joining Naruto at the artifact. "We need to cleanse it, for real this time," Naruto realized. The original purpose of the artifact wasn't to open portals, but to stabilize them. "If we can restore it." He placed his hands on the pyramid, channeling his chakra into it. The dark side energy fought back viciously, threatening to overwhelm him. Bastila added her own force energy, trying to balance Naruto's approach. "It's not working," she shouted as the portal continued to expand. "Kit!" Kurama's voice cut through Naruto's concentration. "The balance. It's not about light versus dark. It's about harmony." Understanding dawned on Naruto. "Bastila. Stop fighting the dark side energy. We need to accept it, then transform it. Like I did with Kurama." Bastila looked uncertain, years of Jedi training telling her to reject the dark side completely. But seeing the determination in Naruto's eyes, she nodded. Together, they adjusted their approach. Instead of trying to purge the dark side from the artifact, they acknowledged its presence, accepting it as part of the whole while guiding it toward a new purpose. Naruto's chakra formed a framework, while Bastila's force control provided the finesse. The pyramid began to change, its color shifting from red to purple to a brilliant blue-white. The symbols etched into its surface rearranged themselves, returning to their original configuration. Above them, the portal shuddered, its expansion halting. The hunger roared in frustration, its tendrils still reaching desperately for their world. "It's working!" Bastila exclaimed. But at that moment, the Sith hunters reached the summit, their red lightsabers igniting as they surveyed the scene. "The artifact," their leader commanded. "Secure it." Naruto and Bastila were trapped, unable to defend themselves while maintaining the cleansing process. If they broke contact now, the portal would resume expanding, and the hunger would break through completely. "Keep going," Naruto told Bastila. "I'll handle this." Without breaking his contact with the artifact, Naruto reached deep within himself, accessing a level of the Nine-Tails chakra he rarely used. Golden energy erupted around him, forming a protective barrier that expanded to include Bastila and the artifact. The Sith attacked the barrier, their lightsabers and force techniques barely making a dent. Inside the protective shell, Naruto and Bastila continued their work, the pyramid growing brighter as its true nature reasserted itself. With a final pulse of combined energy, chakra and force in perfect harmony, the artifact transformed completely. The corrupted Sith pyramid was gone, replaced by a crystalline structure of pure energy. The portal above them began to contract, the hunger howling in rage as it was forced back into the void between dimensions. Its tendrils grasped desperately at reality, trying to maintain its foothold. One final push, Naruto grunted, pouring everything he had into the cleansed artifact. Bastila matched his effort, her force energy intertwining with his chakra in a display of power that made even the Sith hunters pause in awe. The portal collapsed with a thunderous implosion, sealing the hunger away once more. The shockwave knocked everyone on the platform off their feet, sending the Sith hunters tumbling down the mesa's side. When the dust settled, only Naruto, Bastila, and the unconscious Ayark remained at the nexus point. Between them, the transformed artifact hovered slightly above the stone cradle, pulsing with a gentle light that was neither dark nor light, but something altogether new. Naruto sat up, exhausted but grinning. "We did it." Bastila looked equally drained but satisfied. "Yes. Though I'm not entirely sure what it was." "We restored the artifact," Naruto explained, reaching out to touch the floating crystal. "And we stopped that hunger thing from coming through." Ayark stirred, her consciousness returning now that the possessing entity was gone. "The seeing stone," she whispered, gazing at the transformed artifact. "It's as the ancient drawings showed. Before the corruption." Bastila helped the Tuscan woman sit up. "What happened to you? How were you possessed?" "The whispers," Ayark explained, her voice weak. "They came to me in dreams, promising knowledge, power. I listened too long." She looked at the artifact with reverence. "But you have done what generations could not. You have restored balance." The crystal pulsed in response to her words, projecting a holographic star map above the platform. But unlike any star map they'd seen before, this one showed connections between points of light, tunnels or bridges linking different systems, different realities. "The paths between worlds," Ayark breathed. "The ancients could travel them freely, before the schism, before balance was lost." Naruto studied the map intently, searching for anything familiar. "Is my world on here? Can this thing show me how to get home?" The map shifted in response to his question, zooming out to reveal a larger cosmology. Among the countless points of light, one pulsed with a distinct orange energy, different from all the others. "There." Naruto pointed excitedly. "That has to be it. That's my world." Bastila examined the connection points, her expression growing concerned. "The path is complex. Multiple jumps through different dimensional planes. And some of these waypoints, they're in Sith-controlled space." "Doesn't matter," Naruto said confidently. "We've come this far. We can make it the rest of the way." Ayark struggled to her feet. "The seeing stone will guide you, but the journey will not be easy. The dark ones will hunt you. And the hunger, though repelled, is not destroyed. It will seek another way." Naruto picked up the transformed artifact, feeling its energy harmonize with his own. Unlike before, there was no corruption, no attempt to overpower his will, only a sense of purpose and direction. "Then we'll be ready," he said, looking at Bastila. "Right?" Bastila met his gaze, something new in her eyes, a certainty, a decision made. "Yes. We will." The journey back to the Tuscan camp was uneventful, the Sith hunters having retreated to regroup after their defeat at the Nexus. Iark's people welcomed them as heroes, treating their wounds and providing food and shelter. That evening, as they prepared to leave, the star map showing their first destination was a system not far from Tatooine. Naruto found Bastila meditating alone at the edge of the camp. "Hey," he said softly, sitting beside her. "You okay?" She opened her eyes, her expression thoughtful. "I'm questioning everything I was taught. The Jedi Code, the strict separation of light and dark, what we did today shouldn't have been possible according to my training. But it worked," Naruto pointed out. "Because we found balance, not by rejecting the dark, but by accepting it as part of the whole." "Yes. And that realization is, simultaneously liberating and terrifying." She looked at him directly. "The Jedi teach that attachment leads to the dark side. That emotions like love are dangerous because they can turn to fear, anger, possession." Naruto waited, sensing there was more she needed to say. "But today, it was my connection to you, my attachment, that helped me find the balance needed to cleanse the artifact." She took a deep breath. "I'm beginning to think the Jedi are wrong. Not about everything, but about some fundamental things." "Like what?" "Like the idea that peace can only come through the absence of emotion. That serenity requires detachment." Her hand found his. "What I feel for you, it doesn't make me weaker. If anything, it makes me stronger, more complete." Naruto smiled, interlacing his fingers with hers. "That's how it works in my world. Our bonds with others, they're not weaknesses to overcome. They're our greatest strength." "I want to learn more about your way," Bastila said softly. "This path of balance that acknowledges the whole person, light and dark, strength and vulnerability." "And I want to learn more about the Force," Naruto replied. "Not the Jedi way or the Sith way, but something new. Something balanced." As the twin moons rose over the desert, they sat together in comfortable silence, the transformed artifact glowing softly beside them. Their journey was far from over, multiple dimensions to cross, Sith hunters to evade, and the ever-present threat of the hunger lurking between worlds. But in that moment, they had found something precious, a connection that transcended worlds, and a path forward that promised not the rigid certainty of the Jedi Code, but the dynamic balance of something new. 3 months later, a ship descended through the atmosphere of a forgotten world in the unknown regions. The planet's surface was a strange mix of environments, lush forests alongside barren deserts, frozen tundras next to tropical islands, as if multiple ecosystems had been haphazardly stitched together. Naruto stood at the view screen, the transformed artifact, now called the Nexus. Crystal, floating above his palm. This is it. The convergence point. Beside him, Bastila checked the navigation systems of the small vessel they'd acquired during their journey. All readings confirm it. This planet exists at the intersection of multiple dimensional planes. Their journey had been arduous, pursued by Sith hunters, navigating unstable dimensional gateways, and twice narrowly escaping tendrils of the hunger as it sought new entry points to their reality. Along the way, they'd gathered allies, a Mandalorian warrior with a conscience, a disillusioned Jedi anthropologist, a smuggler with unusual Force sensitivity, and others drawn to their mission. "Ready?" Naruto asked, looking at their assembled team. Voran, the former Jedi, nodded thoughtfully. "The ancient texts I discovered on Asas support your theory. This world was once a nexus for travelers between dimensions. If anywhere can provide a stable gateway to your home, it's here." Tila, the Mandalorian, checked her weapons. "Just remember our deal, Uzumaki. Once you're through, I get to study that crystal for a month before it goes to the new academy." "Assuming it doesn't need to go with me," Naruto reminded her with a grin. The ship landed in a clearing surrounded by impossibly tall trees with silver leaves. The air here felt different, charged with potential, as if multiple realities were overlapping. Naruto could sense the boundary between worlds was thin, permeable. As they disembarked, the Nexus crystal pulsed more intensely, responding to the planet's unique energy. Naruto let it guide him, following its pull through the forest to a circular clearing with a pattern of stones arranged in a familiar formation. "It's like the Nexus on Tatooine," Bastila observed. "But larger, more complex." Naruto placed the crystal in the center of the formation, and it immediately rose higher, spinning slowly as it projected a complex web of dimensional pathways. One particular connection glowed bright orange, the path to Konoha, to home. "It's ready," Voran announced, checking the ancient instruments they'd brought. "The gateway can be opened." Naruto turned to Bastila, his expression suddenly conflicted. Throughout their journey, their bond had deepened, moving from cautious alliance to friendship to something much more profound. The thought of leaving her behind tore at his heart. "I have to go back," he said softly. "My friends, my village, they need me." Bastila nodded, her own eyes reflecting his conflict. "I know. And the Academy needs me, especially now. The new path of balance we've discovered, it could change everything, heal the divide between light and dark." The Academy was more aspiration than reality at this point, a vision they developed during their travels. A new approach to force training that incorporated elements of Naruto's shinobi philosophy, embracing balance rather than rigid adherence to light or dark. "I'll miss you," Naruto said simply, taking her hands in his. "And I you," she replied. "More than I can express." Their moment was interrupted as the crystal suddenly pulsed with urgency, the dimensional map it projected showing a disturbance, a massive presence moving between the worlds, following their trail. "The hunger," Voran said grimly. "It's found us." The sky darkened unnaturally, clouds swirling to form a vortex above the clearing. The air grew cold, and a sense of dread washed over the group, the now familiar presence of the interdimensional entity they'd encountered multiple times during their journey. "It's trying to break through," Tila warned, her scanners beeping frantically. "The dimensional barrier is weakening." Naruto looked at the orange pathway, his route home, then at the approaching threat. The decision crystallized in his mind with perfect clarity. "We need to close all the pathways," he announced. "Seal them permanently so this thing can't get through." "But..." Bastila's eyes widened with understanding. "That would trap you here. You'd never be able to return home." Naruto nodded, his expression resolute. "Better that than let this thing loose on multiple worlds." Their companions prepared for battle, weapons ready as the dimensional barrier continued to weaken. Above them, glimpses of the hunger could be seen through the thinning veil, writhing darkness, countless eyes, a hunger that could never be satisfied. "There has to be another way," Bastila insisted. "A way to close the paths without trapping you." Naruto studied the crystal, an idea forming. "Maybe there is. The Nexus crystal doesn't just show the paths, it can create them. What if we created a new one? A direct link between your world and ours?" Voran asked, intrigued despite the impending danger. "Theoretically possible, but it would require enormous power. And perfect balance," Bastila added, seeing where Naruto was going with this. "A harmony of energies from both sides." Naruto grinned. "Good thing we've got the balance bringer and a Jedi who's pretty good with that balance stuff herself." They worked quickly, Naruto and Bastila positioning themselves on opposite sides of the crystal while their companions formed a defensive perimeter around the clearing. The hunger's presence grew stronger, the barrier between worlds now dangerously thin. "On my mark," Naruto called, his chakra flaring golden around him. 3, 2, 1, now. Bastila channeled her force energy into the crystal as Naruto did the same with his chakra. The energies swirled together, creating a new pattern in the dimensional map, a direct bridge between two specific points, bypassing the network the hunger used to travel. As they maintained the connection, Naruto used shadow clones to begin closing the other pathways one by one, sealing them with a combination of Uzumaki sealing techniques and force barriers. Each closure weakened the hunger's approach, pushing it back from their reality. "It's working!" Tila shouted over the howling energies. The entity is retreating. With a final surge of power, Naruto and Bastila completed the new pathway, a stable, direct connection between their worlds that existed outside the network the hunger could access. Simultaneously, the last of the old pathways sealed shut, leaving the interdimensional entity trapped in the void between realities. The vortex above them collapsed, the sense of dread dissipating as the hunger was forced back into its prison. The Nexus crystal stabilized, now showing only a single connection, a straight line between 2 points of light, one blue, one orange. "You did it," Voron said, amazement in his voice. "You created a direct path while sealing the network." Naruto approached the crystal, examining the new connection. "It's stable, but narrow. Not something you could travel through physically. But energy could pass through," Bastila realized. "Communication, at least." Naruto nodded, understanding the implications. He could return home, but the connection would remain, a bridge between worlds that would allow continued contact, continued exchange of knowledge and ideas. "The best of both worlds," he said with a smile. Literally. 1 week later, preparations were complete. The new academy had found a temporary home on a peaceful mid-rim world, far from both Republic and Sith influence. Their small band of allies had grown, word spreading of a new approach to the Force, a path of balance that drew from both Jedi wisdom and shinobi philosophy. Naruto stood before the dimensional gateway they'd constructed around the Nexus crystal, his pack ready and his mind resolved. Their companions had given them privacy for this final farewell. "I'll check in regularly," he promised Bastila. "The connection should allow us to communicate, share discoveries. And perhaps, someday, find a way to travel back and forth," she added. "The research has only just begun." They had spent their final week together transferring knowledge, Naruto teaching Bastila the fundamentals of chakra control, while she helped him refine his understanding of the Force. The new academy would continue this work, exploring the synthesis of their different but complementary approaches. "The Balance Academy," Naruto said, testing the name they'd chosen. "I like it." "As do I." Bastila's smile was bittersweet. "It represents everything we've learned together, that true strength comes not from rejecting one side or the other, but from embracing both in harmony." The Nexus crystal pulsed, signaling that the gateway was ready. Naruto took Bastila's hands in his one last time. "I love you," he said simply. "Distance and dimensions won't change that." "Nor will they change my love for you," she replied, her usual Jedi reserve completely abandoned. "We've rewritten the rules of the Force. Perhaps we can rewrite the rules of space and time as well." Their kiss held both farewell and promise, an ending and a beginning wrapped in one moment of perfect connection. When they separated, Naruto stepped toward the gateway, the orange pathway home shimmering before him. "Until next time," he said with his trademark grin. "Believe it." He stepped through the portal, and in a flash of light, was gone, returning to the world he'd left behind, to friends who had surely searched for him, to responsibilities that awaited his unique abilities. Bastila stood alone before the deactivated gateway, the Nexus crystal now dormant but still pulsing with potential. She felt Naruto's presence even across dimensions, their connection transcending physical space, a bridge between worlds that would endure. "Until next time," she whispered, turning toward her own path, a new academy, a new approach to the Force, and a future forever changed by a whiskered ninja from another world. Epilogue. 6 months later in a quiet meditation room at the Balance Academy, Bastila Shan sat cross-legged before the Nexus crystal, her mind clear and focused. The academy had grown rapidly, attracting Force sensitives disillusioned with both Jedi rigidity and Sith corruption. Here, they found a middle path, one that acknowledged the full spectrum of emotion and power while maintaining ethical purpose. The crystal began to pulse with familiar energy, and Bastila opened her eyes, smiling as an orange glow filled the room. The connection was opening. Across dimensions, in the Hokage's office in Konoha, Naruto sat in a similar meditation pose, the corresponding crystal before him glowing with blue light. He'd returned to a village overjoyed at his reappearance, friends who had never stopped searching, and responsibilities that had awaited his return. His disappearance had changed things. The experience with the Force had given him new perspectives, new abilities that complemented his shinobi training. And the dimensional connection he maintained with Bastila had allowed an unprecedented exchange of knowledge between worlds. "Hey there," he said as her image formed in the crystal's projection. "Miss me?" "Always," she replied, her smile warm even through the dimensional link. "How goes the training program?" "Great. Sakura's really taken to your Force healing techniques, combined with her medical ninjutsu. She's doing things no one thought possible. And Shikamaru's strategic mind is perfect for battle meditation." "Excellent. And here, your shadow clone technique has revolutionized our training methods. The ability to experience multiple scenarios simultaneously has accelerated learning tremendously." Their conversation continued, exchanging discoveries, developments, personal news. Though separated by dimensions, their connection remained strong, their shared mission of balance continuing on both worlds. In the shadows between realities, the hunger stirred, weakened but not destroyed, patient as only an immortal entity could be. The direct pathway between worlds was closed to it, but other possibilities existed, other vulnerabilities to exploit. But for now, balance prevailed, a bridge between worlds, between philosophies, between hearts. The Force and chakra, once separate systems, now intertwined in ways that strengthened both. And at the center of it all, two individuals who had discovered that true power came not from light alone, nor from darkness, but from the harmony of both. The Balance Bringer and his Jedi partner had rewritten the rules of reality itself, proving that some connections transcend even the boundaries between worlds. The end. Thank you for watching this video. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video.